to keep everyone fit and fresh and in the job longer, those things help.
Sometimes when you consider the way that we tie ourselves up into knots in this country with the formats, the pressures, the fact that you've got so much cricket going on, and you wonder how you can get essentially cricketers to perform at the very highest level in Test cricket when they're playing so little red ball stuff, in 50 over cricket when they're not really playing 50 over cricket anymore, and T20 cricket when they're not really available to play T20 cricket anymore. We spend a lot of time, there's a lot of words written about this, but if you look at New Zealand, the Super Smash doesn't really attract a high calibre of overseas talent, and the New Zealand players don't play a great deal in it when they're on international duty. New Zealand plays 4 Test matches a home summer, and essentially the Plunket Shield has got it's been reduced. It was reduced at the last time of asking, so they play very little red ball cricket, but New Zealand still managed to compete and better than that. So, are we kind of looking at the wrong things here when we're looking at the failings of English cricket, when New Zealand don't have any of those things either, but they're still doing pretty well?
No, I look at the English summer and think there's too much cricket in general, and that doesn't give a lot of players the best opportunity to play the best cricket for the longest possible time. So in county cricket, and having had a little taste of it, players do take it easy. They don't have a game off, but they certainly
switch off
a little bit, yes. And we saw a little bit in that previous T20. I think Adair, when he was bowling to when Adair was batting to Satner, just Adair had sort of switched off a little bit, and it brought Satner down. And it sort of does work sometimes, where just switch off, the game's gone. Let's concentrate about the next one. It can bring your opponents down, but. And that the nature of New Zealand summer is that you can't have a switch-off moment. A, because there isn't a lot of cricket, but B, if you lose one game, that has a big effect on the fewer games you play, the more importance they have on each other game. But I think the thing for me is when switching between formats is mindset, and your mindset comes from being able to change your mindset, being able to change how you go about playing your game. And when you're rested, you have a much better chance of going into it emotionally fit, as opposed to being worn down and tired. And I think when you're worn down and tired, you do need a lot longer to transition from the formats. I think when you're cool, calm, and have got a little bit of rest behind you, going from a T20 one day to a Test match, say in 3 days' time, I don't think is that difficult if you're quite well rested, if you've been well looked after, if you've had the appropriate rest and the flights are all good. And I think that is a big thing that we're seeing. A lot of that player welfare, personal welfare that New Zealand's cricket is focusing on, and I think that allows them to switch between formats and travel so well and win home and often win away, because the player welfare it just seems, and this is inside looking out as well as outside looking in, player welfare is pretty much number one. The results will follow, and genuinely it is player welfare first and results on the back of that, which is something I love. I've always, since sort of retiring, I realised that actually if you have happy people, you have happy performers, you have good performers, and that's been something that I've wanted to sort of make cricket with the roles that I've done since is let's make sure the people are happy, and then worry about the players. We're talking about the same person, but the person before the performer, making sure that they're in a good place. And I think New Zealand are doing that pretty well. And there's some good staff, certainly staff that were around when I was playing. It's going back some time now. They're still there. That longevity, that consistency, that helps. And then there's been a couple of changes at the top, which have all transitioned really well. So I think they've bridged a gap in world cricket that has been very difficult, but I think New Zealand have done it pretty well.
Well, they do a lot of things well. That was the voice of Ian O'Brien. He will be back in about 5 overs time, but for now, as the New Zealand openers get ready to stop batting in this second at T20, it's time to throw over to your commentary team, the former Ireland international Kath Doughton, and also top writer, hilarious individual
in real life,
one of the funniest people you can read. Not quite as funny in the flesh, but he's not bad. It's Jarrod Kimber.
It's a shame you didn't mention all of Kath's achievements. West Ham, Tottenham, Chelmsford under 12 netballer. She was going through them before.
Tiddlywinks.
Yeah. Exciting here, Mark Adair. I'm assuming he's going to be taking a first over. We're just going through it here. Oh, it's Craig Young. Craig Young going through the first over, which is a shame because I had all my Mark Adair stats ready for you to go, because Mark Adair is one of the best power play bowlers in the world, and I don't think we talk about it enough, Kath.
You've done your research.
Yeah.
You've done your research today, yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's a real shame. I got so ready to talk about him. I've been pumping him up for so long, and I missed the last game where I did absolute tons. Anyway, it's Young, who is going to be bowling. I think it's Guptill, who will be... We're just waiting for the umpires. Oh, they've got the thumbs up.
Okay, gents. Play.
I thought he said pigeons. I think he meant gents there. Young coming in. Slipping place is Sterling. This is down the leg side. Turned to deep backward point. Deep backward square leg, sorry. And then it's going to take one. So New Zealand get off the mark with a single. It's Curtis Camphor down on the boundary. He seems to spend a lot of his time on the boundary. They like either they don't like him, Kath, or he's really good out there.
No, get him out of the ring, I think that's what they're saying. It'll be interesting to see how this pitch plays, because last time the New Zealand batters in the first innings found it very difficult to time the ball. Equally did the Ireland batters as well, but see how this surface plays today.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. It's it's not as good a batting pitch as Malahide, though, is it, in general?
No, it's not meant to be. I think this is a lot more tricky than Malahide.
Finn Allen is facing Young. He comes down the wicket. He's tried to pull this off the front foot as he's flicked down. This could go anywhere. I think it's just drops not far from Curtis Camphor. He's essentially played a hook shot on the run at his first ball, which is proper cricket.
Yeah, very aggressive start by Finn Allen. Something as well in the last T20 game, it was difficult for the batters to time anything that was short, so Craig Young knows that, and he's gone for the short ball very early. It's just dropped short of Camphor there, actually. I'm
not sure Camphor didn't run around that a little bit in the end. I wonder if he came in a bit too far from the boundary. Anyway, they got two, so Finn Allen is 2 from 1. He's facing Young again. This is a good ball at the stumps. There's half an appeal, but it's sliding down leg side, and there's no run there.
The thing is, when you've played one game, one T20 international on a ground like this, you start to know the conditions a lot better. So will the New Zealand openers, particularly Guptill, struggled in that first T20 international? He didn't time many deliveries at all. Will he learn from that and adjust his game? I suppose that's what makes you a great cricketer rather than just a good cricketer.
Young in again, short again. This time Finn Allen gets a lot more of it, and that's in the trees. So sorry if you just happen to be walking past the ground. That might have smacked someone. None of the fans even got up. The Kiwi fans and the Irish fans all sat down. There's a big hit. A 6 to start. He's 8 of 3, Allen, and he's played
2 huge shots already.
Well, 2 huge shots
already.
Wonderful
shot. Way too short a delivery, and he's just leant on that and just smashed it basically into the trees.
Or not short enough.
Not short enough, yeah.
Because the other one was a little higher, wasn't it? He was walking at the other one, though, to make it. And we've got it. Man comes out from the crowd. He seemed to be filming that for TikTok. One hand on his phone, one hand on the ball, as if to say, this is it, I've got the ball, everyone. He throws it to Curtis Camphor, and it comes back.
Surprised we got the ball back, actually.
Yeah, so is it a park? I've been to Malahide, I've never been to Stormont. What is it outside the trees? Come on.
I'm not actually sure. I've never played there, in fact. So I played at Breedy Cricket Club in Northern Ireland, but never here, so...
I'll be on the trees. This was a length ball on the stumps, and Finn Allen rose right across the off stump as he flicks that to short fine leg. There's no run there. Sorry, go.
Something key, particularly in the first 6 in the power play, is your fielding in the ring. If you can stop singles in the ring, something New Zealand did well last T20 was they pushed a few singles in the ring, and Ireland weren't quite on it. So I'd like to see a better intensity level in the ring from these Ireland fielders.
Young in again. Allen comes down the wicket and he biffs this over wide, long on, and that is going to go a couple of bounces for 4. Absolutely no respect. Sorry to sound like Rodney Dangerfield, but that's how he played that. He just came down and whacked it. The end of the first over, Young, who's usually a very good bowler of the first over, goes for 13. New Zealand are off to a flyer, Kath.
That was a wonderful shot. Just used his feet to a length delivery, knowing that there was no one out at deep mid-wicket, cow corner area, targeted it and hit a really great shot for 4. This is a positive start by New Zealand. Really positive. I'm enjoying this.
So, both of these bowlers for Ireland are very much power play specialists. I think where they struggle is usually at the death. I think Josh Little will become their main death bowler, but it's finding one of the other seamers to become the second one is the problem. But this is a big challenge. So Adair is coming from wide of the crease. He swings away right into the swinging arc of Guptill. But he hits this out to Curtis Gamper, who's still being told he stinks by everyone else and kept as far away from everyone. It was a loose ball by Adair, but he is a fantastic bowler in this format, but also right up front.
He is. He gets the ball to shape, and also he's got a really good Yorker in him at the top. It's just a shame because he doesn't really get his Yorkers in at the death as well as possibly he'd like. So something to learn from Mark Adair, but it's a challenge, isn't it, at the back end of the innings to get things right. But he's got a new ball in his hand at the moment, so he can get this to shape around. He can be a handful.
Yeah, certainly got some swing on that first ball. Sterling's slip becomes wide on the crease again. This doesn't move at all, and it's flat batted almost all the way to long off. They had the long off in, or out, if you will, and it didn't matter to Finn Allen because he doesn't really worry about fielders on boundaries, and he takes him on anyway. But it's one bounce. He sort of mistimed that, and they just end up, I think, just taking a single out there.
And that looked like a tactic actually, because cover was out before, so I'm not sure whether he had a third or fine out as well. It looked like a little bit of a tactic there.
Yeah. Interesting, the long off and a slip in place. This is a wide. It starts on the wide line and swings further away, and an easy call for the umpire there. I think that's Rolly Black, isn't it? Oh no, that might be the other umpire, the other Irish umpire there, but Guptill leaves that alone. He's 2 from 2. Finn Allen's 13 from 6.
Yeah, Mark Adair's getting the ball to shape away today. Normally he gets it to shape back in, so whether he'll bowl his in-swinger at some stage in this over would be a good variation.
He's bowling massively wide on the crease at the moment. So there's some kind of tactic here. There's something that the analyst is seeing. This is on the pads. And Guptill flicks this out to deep backward square, and they just take the single. So there's clearly something going on. With Wise coming wide on the crease, and I think it's to both of them. That was the wobble ball, that one did come back in a little bit, and Guptill ended up playing that a little bit across his pad down to deep backward square leg.
Yeah, it looks like a tactic. I like this because they're bowling to a game plan, Ireland, whereas I felt even though they got early wickets in the last game, there wasn't a clear game plan. So
Adair gets inside edge of Finn Allen, who again tries to force the ball. This bounces back over the stumps. Finn Allen had no idea where that was, actually. It was Martin Guptill who called him through. It was a bit of a tight run in the end as Lorcan Tucker comes around and fires at the stumps. But that was a good ball. The last couple he's angled back, has he? I'm not sure if it's just a wobble ball, actually, and maybe just coming on straight from that angle that he's bowling.
Certainly the one before that delivery did look like it just angled back in a little bit. You can obviously bowl the wobble seam delivery that can hit either side of the seam and go either way. Bowlers claim they control that. I'm not sure.
This is 2 straight from Adair this time, and he's been picked off easily out to the sweeper on the leg side. Not the strongest over from Mark Adair. He's been kind of all over the shop at the moment. To be honest, he hasn't really been punished for it, but he's been a little bit everywhere. Wide of off stump and now a little bit too straight.
Yeah, you take the best bowlers in the world in the power play. They use the new ball very well and they get their seam position immaculate and they're consistent. Mark Adair lacking some consistency here.
Really wide on the crease. This one does hit the seam and comes back in and is tucked away on the leg side, and that is going to take another single. That's the end of the second over. So Ireland sent New Zealand in, and New Zealand are 20 without loss after 2. Guptill is 4 from 4, and Finn Allen is 15 from 8. So just look at Adair's power play record. He's taken 23 wickets with an economy of 6.2 over the last couple of years. Bowling average of 17.7, which I think when I looked it up the other day, I think it was the last 3 years, he has the best bowling average in the power play in the world. He's been absolutely brilliant. So that, for him, is quite a disappointing over. To be fair, Craig Young's quite a good power play bowler also. And we're just seeing the most T20 international sixes, which is Martin Guptill. And, well, after Young's first over, we're seeing a change already with Josh Little coming in. Is this part of the plan, or is this he got whacked in the first over?
I think it's just keeping the batters on their toes, mixing it up, change of angle, obviously with the left armour as well, and he's off the back of taking 4 wickets in the last T20 international against New Zealand, so he's in good touch. Josh Little, he's bowling well, and while someone's confident, you may as well throw them a new ball. Hasn't gone to plan so far, so change it up and try and get a wicket.
Again, another good power play bowler. They've got 3 of them. As Little is going to be coming in, no slip, and Finn Allen comes across and tries to jam down on that. It might have even swung back through in the bat in the pad. He got him in was it the last game he got him? Was that the T20? Or has he got him a couple of... Yeah, he got Finn Allen in the last game, didn't he? He also, it should be pointed out that Martin Guptill's only has 2 weaknesses really in his T20 play. It's finger spin of both kinds and left arm seam, which he doesn't particularly like. So there's no doubt that Little with Finn Allen's wicket in the last game, and also the good matchup against Guptill, they probably wanted to give Young an over just because Young's real power play specialist. Now they've gone to Little, who's coming over the wicket. Finn Allen goes all the way outside off stump. He's beaten on the outside edge now, so he's been beaten on the inside and the outside. Was that lucky not to be a wide, Kath?
It was close.
It didn't shake back, did it? If it shaked back, I think it would have been okay. It cut across the line. It was good length and good width on that. And Finn Allen's probably sitting there going, probably should have taken that.
I think because he moved across his stumps, Phil Allen, that's possibly why it wasn't called a wide, but maybe a little bit lucky there for Josh Little.
2 dot balls to start his over though. Gone past either edge. Comes again, slower ball to cutter, and it is belted over mid off, and it goes for 4. They don't have the long off out for Josh Little. I think they have the deep point out for him, probably because of his angle. Again, Finn Allen didn't quite time that, but he moves to 19 from 11.
Oh, great shot, and he's capitalised on what was a half volley. Even though it was a slower ball, it was a half volley in the slot, and it deserved to be dispatched. However, I'd argue maybe the wrong field set. If you're going to bowl a slow ball, you need someone out straight.
Yeah, that length as well. It probably just overpitched a little bit. It seemed very slow to me. It's back of a length, and this is pulled again by Finn Allen, and Curtis Campher doesn't go for that catch. They're going to take a single. Josh Little looks confused, and Curtis Campher is now doing that thing that we've all done in the field, where we're shaking our head as if to say, didn't pick it up. I just didn't pick it up.
You start squinting your eyes, looking for your sunglasses. That's what you should have been doing. I have no idea why he hasn't pelted in and pulled out the full-length dive for that ball.
I don't think he would have got to it, even if he'd gone full on, but he decided very early on that was a bit short of him, didn't he? He's a very quick mover, Curtis Campher. I've already talked about him on the boundary quite a bit. But anyway, they get a single. Allen moves to 20 from 12. Martin Guptill is facing Josh Little, who bowls very good pace, back of a length, that hits the bat very, very hard and is just defended by Martin Guptill.
A lovely shape on that delivery, just that angle back in, good seam position by Josh Little. He's a good bowler, he's a clever bowler. Just needs to hit that area more consistently and make the New Zealand batters do something different to score off him.
Guptill is 4 off 5. Not really played a shot in anger yet. Little coming over the wicket, left arm, pace, and he comes straight through him. That was exactly the same ball that he bowled a moment ago, but this one moved a lot more, and it cut Guptill in half, who ends up making a grunting sound as it goes through to the wicketkeeper. 25 for none after 3 overs. Very good over from Josh Little, just pulling it back a little bit in Ireland's favour here.
Yeah, he did. He pulled that over back very well from what was quite an inconsistent start. He looked to bowl quite wide. It seems to be a tactic to Finn Allen. They're looking to bowl quite wide, and maybe they're trying to shape it back into Guptill. That's his vulnerable area. We saw that delivery that just shaped back. It did cut him in half, and interestingly, Guptill tried, he practiced a shot through the offside after that ball, which was interesting, bearing in mind it came back in. So it looks like a tactic.
Yeah, it would have been a hell of a shot if he played that on the offside. Barry McCarthy is coming on. So we're certainly seeing some changes. We're in the fourth over. We're seeing the fourth bowler from Ireland so far. Finn Allen, they've got deep backward square, and I think long off is out as well. So everyone else is on the ring on the offside. So where is Finn Allen going to go? McCarthy comes in, his right arm medium pace. He bowls it in the slot on middle and leg stump, and that is caught in the crowd. The crowd's quite excited for the fact that Barry McCarthy's just come on and been dispatched first ball, but a man with a lot of hair has taken a very good catch out at long on.
Not dissimilar to your hair.
It's a bit similar.
That was a lovely shot. Really great shot. Almost a check drive, lofted check drive over mid-on. Timed it beautifully. This is the best timing I've seen of any batter on this pitch so far. Really great timing.
McCarthy comes in again. This is back of a length, and it's just helped along past short fine leg, and that goes for 4. He gets inside it. Barry McCarthy it's not a terrible ball. I think Finn Allen has made it look worse than it is, but the timing on that, Kath, was incredible.
He's in good touch today, isn't he, Finn Allen? Wow, what a shot this was. Anything just slightly loose is just getting taken. Pivot pull, great shot. Shot before, lofted over mid-on. He looks in great touch today.
Barry McCarthy's first 2 balls have gone for 10 runs. And as I said, he's the 4th bowler they've used. He just pulled New Zealand back a little bit. He's short outside off stump, and this is pulled away, but it's in front of the sweeper. In fact, geez, he's timed that so well, that's gone for another 4. There's a sweeper out at deep backward square leg, but that's gone in front of square, and we now have 6-4-4, and New Zealand go for 39 after 3.5 overs. Panic stations?
Panic stations for Barry McCarthy for sure, but not for Finn Allen. He looks in really good touch here. Even that was slightly mistimed off his bat. It's still rocketed away for 4.
We've said that about 3 times, and they've all gone flying for 4, though, haven't they?
I would like his bat, I think.
He is 34 off 15. Barry McCarthy is thinking, how do I get past the back end of this over? Comes in again. Now, back of the hand, slow ball perhaps, of some kind of a slow ball bouncer. And it ends up hitting Finn Allen as he tries to pull this. Now, did that hit him on the shoulder? It did something off the pitch. It wasn't that slow, though. It was still almost 130 kilometres. Where did that hit him?
I think that either hit his body. I thought for a second it might have hit his helmet, but obviously didn't. Slow ball bouncer definitely from Barry McCarthy there. Good comeback, actually. Great comeback delivery.
Interesting delivery with not many players out on the boundary. And you've gone for that many boundaries so far. He comes in again, and this one looks like he rolls his fingers over this again. Smash straight to backward point, and Paul Sterling's there, and there is no run. That might have even been a cross-seam delivery. So they're going for everything that they can here. Yeah, it was 136 kilometres. So again, decent pace. They're almost bowling death bowling to Finn Allen already.
Sometimes you have to, if a batter's in good touch and they are dispatching you for 4s and 6s, you have to go to your defensive mode quite early on.
McCarthy's gone for 14 off his 5 balls so far. This is a good slow ball, straight, and Finn Allen picks it quite late, but he turns it on the leg side, and they take 1. So 40 runs after 4 overs, and if I just put my mathematics hat on, I believe that's 10 and over they're going at so far here on talkSPORT 2 with Jared Kimber and Kath Dalton. Reminder that we're bringing more of Ireland's home fixtures this summer with their upcoming white ball series against South Africa here live on talkSPORT 2. And just a reminder, if you are listening on your smart speaker but you need to be on the move, you can listen to us for free on the talkSPORT app, which is also for free. Everything's free. You can swipe between talkSPORT and talkSPORT 2, a little bit like Tinder, but for sports radio. No? Not like Tinder? All right. Cass says no. 40 for none, New Zealand. Great start here after 4 overs. And we've already seen 4 different seamers tried by Ireland, but for the first time we're getting someone having their second over. Josh Little coming back. He's still got Finn Allen facing up, and he's got a top edge, and this is just gone over short fine leg. Craig Young doesn't have the greatest turning circle, but you have to be an incredible athlete to get that. Oh, in fact, there was no bat. He's just giving that leg by. I thought there was a little bit on it. Josh Little, I think, might have thought that as well at the time. But as he's tried to pull this, Finn Allen, I still thought that had something on it. But
top of his thigh pad, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. But it just gets past short fine leg and trickles away to the boundary for 4 leg byes. The runs keep coming. 44 off 26, 44 from 4.1. And this is a flat bat shot back down the ground, and it is caught. He got absolutely nothing on that. Barry McCarthy was desperate to get Finn Allen away from the crease, and it was clothed so poorly that it just scooped up in the air, and Barry McCarthy comes flying around, and he catches this basically behind the umpire. But Finn Allen's done his job. He's got New Zealand off to a great start.
He has. That was a proper power play innings by Finn Allen, but a great catch by Barry McCarthy. And a breakthrough that Ireland certainly needed at this stage. Finn Allen looked like he was going, and I think at one stage I felt like he was going to go big. At least get a 50, maybe even a T20 100 with that strike rate. 35 with just 20 deliveries.
And Cleaver is coming in, Dane Cleaver, who apparently, according to John Norman and Ian O'Brien, looks like Napoleon Dynamite, which I think is libelous, but I'm not sure. We'll have to check that. 44 for 1 anyway after 4.2.
I can kind of see the similarity.
He's got less hair today, so there's less Napoleon Dynamite to him at the moment. It was a good move for them to keep Little on as well. I know he'd done so well, he'd done well so far, but they had been moving things around. He's the first bowler that probably demanded a second over, wasn't he? Yeah,
absolutely. He was the only bowler who bowled with any kind of consistency and got the ball to shape back in, particularly to Guptill. So he looks the biggest threat so far, and Ireland's premier bowler at the moment.
Guptill gets the ball back of a length. It was the one that cut him in half last over. This time he just drops it on the offside, and he takes a single. Maybe that's what he was practicing last over, is just knocking it on the offside and getting off strike. He just doesn't like left armers as much as he likes other bowling.
Yeah, and a great reason to keep Josh Little on for a second over. See if they can get the big wicket at Guptill.
Just absolutely cloth that. When he mishit that originally, I thought this has gone nowhere and he might get caught. But all the other mishits had gone for forecast, so I wasn't quite prepared to pick that particular as going away. But he got absolutely nothing. He must have hit it very high up on the bat, did it?
Yeah, it did. Very high up on the bat, but very good catch. We've just seen the replay there. Great catch by Barry McCarthy. Yeah,
it came around from mid-on. They've got a slip back in place for Dane Cleaver. And he went out to Finn Allen in the last game. I'm trying to remember how he dismissed him. Was it caught behind, perhaps? Was it one of these balls that straightened? I'm trying to remember now. Outside off stump, beats him on the... As he tries to flash this away through point. That ball died, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, that kept very, very low.
Tucker did well. He got it on the half volley in the end there. Just brought the slip in. They just brought Paul Sterling in at slip, but that one really didn't do much off the surface at all. When you bang the balls in, they sort of get a bit stuck here, don't they?
I'm surprised at how low that kept.
Cleaver faces up again and gets a back of a length ball and just guides that down to third man, Market Air Fields, and they'll just take a single. So Little's got 1 for 7 from his 1.5.
And that back of a length delivery is working for Josh Little, so I don't think he needs to go with massive variation. He's got a slip in place, new ball in hand. I know it's into the 5th over, but just keep hitting that back of a length area and getting it to go off the seam, and he's proven a handful when he does that.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of seam movement at time, but he's also been swinging the ball. Guptill, 5 off 7, is facing Josh Little, and he punches this out to deep point and to the sweeper. It's the end of the 5th over, so 1 to go in the power play. It's 47 for 1. Cass Dalton and I are going to have a spell, and on comes the incredibly quick-witted John Norman and his partner Ian O'Brien.
Must have died a little bit when Kath said that guy that caught the ball in the crowd had your haircut.
I was happy with that. I like that.
Really?
Yeah, there's a lot of hair going on with that. It was a good catch, good low catch as well.
It was a good low catch. I reckon the soft. That's all I'd written down.
Yeah, plenty.
Mark Adair, Jared's man, back to bowl his second over, and this is pushed into the offside. Paul Sterling has a shot at the stumps at the non-strikers. Guptill gets through though, 7 from 9.
Afternoon again, John.
Good afternoon, IOB.
Happy with it? Well, I'm happy with the start. Happy with the start. Did you see the first T20? I know it's kind of putting you on the spot.
No, I listened.
So slightly different pitch this seems, and I heard Kath Dalton just saying that, banging it away, and it does seem to be getting onto the batters a little bit easier. The pull shots seem a little bit more fluent. The runs are coming a little bit quicker.
Cleaver readying himself, plays this to point, and will come through for a single as well. Last over of the power play, the score 49 for 1.
Yeah, a better start from New Zealand than the previous T20. Reminds you, 190 was the highest score, is the highest T20 score on this ground. So New Zealand's 170, 173 the other day was the third highest. They're in a position to get past their 173, certainly, and it looks a better pitch than the other day.
There is in, bouncer, and evaded by Guptill. I think the spread, 888 Sport spread was 170 to 180.
And then there was for 190 plus was one of the other spreads, and it was. I sort of thought at the top of the game when I heard that, it was like, well, that's not going to happen. I sit here now thinking, actually, there's a chance for a new ground high score with the way the pitch is playing.
Again, length delivery from Adair, a swing and a miss from Guptill. You do get this from Guptill. He's one of the most. I think this is one of the reasons that why I enjoy Martin Guptill more than many batters. It's, on some days he looks like he can score 200, and on others he looks like he can't get the bat on ball for 200 deliveries. He's just one of those players.
He's certainly a guy in the nets that has to feel like he's middling everything before he feels at all at ease.
Down the track, a touch there by Guptill, no timing. Will come through for a single though. So Ireland pulling this back nicely after 4 overs, 40 without loss. After 6, or was there one more? No, one more, gone a little bit early there. They're 50 for 1. So that wicket has slowed things up a little bit, and Finn Allen was really dominating that opening partnership with Guptill.
Dominated from the word go. Was dished up a couple of freebies. I did enjoy how they kept changing the bowling. That was one thing if you're not taking wickets, you don't bowl the bowler again. You make sure you chop and change, and they've done that pretty well, Ireland, so far.
This is the last ball of the power play, and forward, easing into a drive. Square of the wicket is Cleaver. It does appear like his family have made the journey over from New Zealand. Of all the times to be in New Zealand, fresh from a defeat in the rugby, back home. But that's and his young child as well.
Go from 4 degrees in New Zealand to 40. What was it, 30 the other day in Belfast? 40 degrees here. So they've got the right time of the year to get out of New Zealand and spend some time this side.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time in New Zealand, but never in the winter.
It's
wet.
Look, New Zealand is
saying that it's wet in the summer.
If you take the ends, you take the extremes off the UK, that you sort of get New Zealand. It's not as cold and it's not as hot, basically because we sit in the middle of an ocean with nothing but ocean around us. There's no landmass to freeze us like you get from the big European continent, and likewise there's no big landmass for heat to sort of hover across either. So we're dictated by the sea. So if you just take the extremes off here, off the UK, then you sort of pretty much got New Zealand.
51 for 1 then at New Zealand, as McCarthy, whose first over went for 15, gets one to nip back to Cleaver. And very, very unfortunate the bowler not to take the inside edge. A little shrug of the shoulders from Cleaver. 3 from 5.
Just looking at that Cleaver body language, like, well bowled, back of the length, nips back, good delivery, and Cleaver sort of, oh well, what can I do to that, because that has seemed back a bit. But he was in no position to play that from the length that it was delivered to. He didn't look in any position to be looking for at least a single. Very strange.
Cleaver down the track and beaten again. Pushes awkwardly outside off stump.
Again, just looks miles behind his in terms of his timing, in terms of being prepared to hit the ball. He just looks such a long way behind the pace of the game at the moment.
Yeah, early stage. I mean, one of the things that impresses me, I suppose, is Finn Allen's only been on the circuit for a couple of years, I suppose. Ben Phillips slightly longer, but they bring in players like Will Young or Michael Bracewell as Cleaver is defensive again, plays the ball back down the pitch. McCarthy's first 3 balls of his first over went for 14, hasn't conceded a run at the start of midway point of his second. But essentially, Cleaver's played 10 years for Central Districts. He's, like Bracewell, like Young, like a lot of these guys, have come into the side with bags of experience, and usually that makes a big difference, doesn't it?
Should do. And he's 30. Look, if he doesn't get it right here and falls out of the team, he may get a chance to come back.
All wrists. This is elevated up and towards square leg, but Balbirnie is just forward of square, and the ball was in the air for such a long time. It looked like a fielder was going to nestle underneath it, but Cleaver gets away with one. He moves to 4 from 8. The score 52 for 1.
Just looks so far behind in terms of his setup, in terms of the timing, in terms of getting in a good position to hit the ball. But what I was trying to say is that he's got all this experience. He probably has got, if he does fail, drops out of the team, he probably has got one chance to get back in. But at the same stage, he's got nothing to lose as well.
McCarthy is in, and back of a length delivery, played down the ground towards third for another single. And after that explosive start from Finn Allen, Ireland certainly dragging themselves back into this match, and they're bowling well to both batsmen. They're certainly not giving them anything full, anything they can get under. They're not able to play straight, and they're trying to maximise everything they can out of the pitch.
Is that 5 dots and 6 singles in the last 2 overs? That really rips the flow out of your scoring rate.
Cleaver facing, steps away from the crease, and McCarthy follows him, and it will just be a single to finish another good over for Ireland. Things are slowing up for New Zealand. Neither Guptill nor Cleaver showing anything approaching the kind of timing we associate with Guptill. Too early in Cleaver's career really to make that kind of statement, but pressure already for a guy that's playing in just his second international match for New Zealand.
I'm not an international number 3 by any stretch of the imagination. If you're backing away from a bowler and he follows you, you've got 2 options. You tuck it down a fine leg for a run, or you're hitting it up and under out over square leg. It just feels for me that, again, Cleaver must have a different game plan, must be asked to be playing a different game plan, because there's a couple of deliveries in that over in particular that I'm a little bit, they're deliveries that could be hit or should be hit. So maybe the game plan that he's been asked to play is different to one that we would expect a T20 number 3 with the team losing their first wicket at about 50 to be playing.
George Dockrell is going to have his first bowl of the match. He bowled a couple of overs in the first T20, but it was with the bat that he contributed for Ireland against New Zealand in the ODI series, and also in the T20 series against India. As Cleaver this time does play a good-looking shot. He again moves to the leg side and plays an inside-out cover drive up over mid-off and away for 4.
That is delicious. So we've seen the change of pace. We've gone from the medium quicks to the left arm spin. It's backed away, inside out. A little bit of the 10-pin bowling back leg, flicking around behind him to clear that right hip, and deliciously over extra cover for 4.
Dockrell again, and forward is Cleaver, and plays the ball nicely along the ground to long on, who comes in from the boundary.
That's a different player, John, isn't it?
Yes.
From the previous 2 overs to the guy that's hit those 2 balls for a 4 and a single, that's a different player completely. Aesthetically and confidently.
Dockrell again, wide of the crease, defended by Guptill. Uses that long reach to nullify anything really that was going to be extracted from the pitch. But this is a T20. Good looking shot, defensive shot in a test match, as this time the ball is flicked off the pads by Guptill, who runs the first one quickly, but not quick enough, I don't think, to come back for a second. Score moves to 60 for 1. New Zealand, 2 balls left of the 8th over. George Dockrell, who doesn't bowl in ODIs anymore, but does in T20s, or certainly hasn't for the last 10 or so. Beaten this time is Cleaver. He comes forward and essentially wristily tries to play this ball towards the offside, as is away with slow left armers. There is a shout for a stumping, but nobody looks particularly excited.
I've checked the front foot. It's a fair delivery. Can we start with front
obligatory?
On,
I think obligatory check of the back foot, but keeper not so much. The New Zealand camper sitting at square leg. They were watching on, if you like. They saw it in real time, but not a lot. But that's going back to the previous Dane Cleaver in terms of the positioning and how he's looked to hit that. There's a real 2 Dane Cleavers today.
Are they actually looking for a caught behind?
No, they are obliged to. I think obliged to go through the
we will go
through the process.
Your best side angle, please.
It's quite a sneaky way of getting a little DRS for a caught behind, then, isn't it? Just by going for the stumping.
And foot is back. Yeah. I've made my decision for the lights.
Either way, it's not out as the green light flashes up, and Cleaver remains. I mean, 10 from 12 is still going at a better strike rate than Guptill. 10 from 15.
That's true. That's true. Guptill has also looked delicious and then looked awkward at times in this innings. Maybe it was just Finn Allen who made the pitch look flat.
On the reverse, this time it's Cleaver, and misses this delivery by quite some distance. In fact, he missed this ball by more distance than the ball missed the wicket. Head in hands time for Dockrell. But that's the end of the over. 6 from it, and the score after 8 overs here on talkSPORT 2 in this must-win clash for Ireland. They're 1-0 down with this and one other to play after New Zealand won the first at T20. It's 60 for 1. Finn Allen, 35 from 20, and I still think that 4 runs which were given as byes possibly did come off the bat. But essentially, since his dismissal, which was in the 5th over, New Zealand have singly struggled to get on top of the island bowling. I wonder who they're going to bring back now, though, because Cleaver did look slightly more confident against the slow left arm of Dockrell, and it's Young who is inside edge onto the pads of Guptill. He calls through Cleaver. It's not the striker's end that Young's interested in throwing the stumps out. It's a non-striker's end. Either way, the batters are both home. 61 for 1.
I might have to just retract a little bit of things here. Just thinking back to the first T20 and the pitch, Finn Allen did make this look easy, and they bowled some slot to him. Admittedly, they bowled some nice length, middle and off, and he hit the ball. Bowled a couple of short ones where he got a little bit lucky as well. So I think we do need to take Finn Allen's innings out of the equation a little bit. Come back to that.
Into the pitch again, and that sounds good, looks good, and is good. That's it in the slot for Cleaver. Swivel pull, and it flies into the into a tree essentially. Well, that's 67 for 1. New Zealand.
That's the shot I was kind of expecting when they bowled into his hip. The last ball of the previous over to Dockrell's over. He sort of shimmied away, got a back of a length delivery, and he was trying to push it into the offside for 1. But that was the shot there that I was more expecting, and was sort of had been. I don't know, you sort of get trained into how people play the cricket ball, and that was how Dane would play it. Dane Cleaver would play it. And he's on top of it there. So going back, I think New Zealand have I think they are understanding the pitch is still not that easy to play on.
Forward, and nicely played into the covers by Cleaver. He'll come back for a second, fielded by the sweeper. But again, a good looking shot for 2 there.
That's nice. That's nice. Just a little bit of pace off from the bowler. Sat on it and got on top of it off the back foot. Pushed it through the offside. Nice hands.
When he's looked good, he's looked
that's
simple.
Completely different player though.
Yeah. Little knee flex by Cleaver. And no run, picks out short mid-wicket. Dash at the stumps again, 69 for 1.
It's like those Napoleon Dynamite dance scenes, and then to him how he is in everyday life. Completely different sort of people.
I mean, there must be a lot going on though, isn't there? Especially, I mean, you've played in front of big crowds, you've played in front of small crowds. Early on in your career, does it help when you walk to the crease and you can hear pretty much everything that's being said in the crowd? Forward on the drive is Cleaver. He moves to 19 and he's going better than a runner ball now. 70 for 1. I mean, there must be so much going on there.
I couldn't even hear my own mind think. I couldn't. My own mind was too noisy for that anyway, sort of thing. So it didn't matter for me how many there were there. But going back to something I said earlier, look, he's 30 and he's getting his sort of first chance. He's on debut the previous game. It wasn't the easiest of surfaces. He was 6 off 8 or something, 5 off 7 in his first innings.
Last ball of Young's second over bouncer. Guptill climbs into it, picks out the fielder. Stationed for exactly that shot at fine leg, and it's Barry McCarthy with his second at take. And Guptill's got to go for 11. 70 for 2 New Zealand. 9 overs in.
That's Guptill of 14 years ago. This sounds horrible, but that's exactly how I got Guptill out about 14 years ago. Just put the fine leg. Harder to find your timing, harder to get your good-looking cricket shots out. It was ugly runs that won the game for New Zealand the other day, and I think at times there's certainly been some ugly runs, but also today there's been some really nice cricket. So I'm sort of still betwixt in sort of summarising the conditions and the pitch, and then how New Zealand are trying to play this.
Well, it keeps it interesting though, doesn't it? Good shots, good bowling, some nice fielding. 70 for 2 New Zealand. 9 overs in, and suddenly, looking in a position where they were going to clear 180, 190. We're now having to remodify.
That shot from Guptill. We're just watching the replay on the screen we've got, and he's just helped it, as if he didn't think fine leg was out. There was square leg was out and fine leg was there, and he's hit catching practice. Look, he's had a pretty good run of it, Martin Guptill, in this is what's his 5th innings, isn't it, in this series.
Okay, so Cleaver readies himself as Dockrell is in. This is fired into the pads of Cleaver, who's back and across and plays this again along the ground. Risk-free cricket from New Zealand. Glenn Phillips, man who really turned the game on its head with that late order cameo in the first T20. New to the crease and about to face his first delivery.
Ugly though the other day, and that was the word for me that probably summed up the game. It wasn't a pretty game of cricket, but it was an ugly 69 off 52.
About to face his first delivery. Phillips forward, defensive. No run. Can Ireland get another cheap one out here? Touch wide of the crease this time from Dockrell. Play to square leg by Phillips, who is off the mark. And a little bit more importance now on Cleaver's innings, how he goes about things for the next couple of overs.
Are we going to need a young John Travolta, young Grease John Travolta for George Dockrell?
I'm not sure he's that young anymore, This is flashed away. Square of the wicket for another single.
He's certainly younger than John Travolta. They just keep giving us a profile shot of George Dockrell, and there's
tossed up a little bit more by Dockrell. No real turn on show, but accurate and defended again.
As you were, sorry.
Ian O'Brien's coming to the end of his commentary stint. Massive 5-over affair as Phillips is forward and punches this to long off for another single. So another tight over for Ireland. Dockrell's 2 have gone for 10 with the halfway stage of the innings. New Zealand asked to bat first by Ireland, who need to win this game to keep the series alive, with Phillips and Cleaver at the crease. They are 74 for 2, and it's time to hand over the commentary duties as Ian O'Brien, he goes for a lie down. Former Ireland international Kath Dalton and Jarrah Kimber.
I just looked it up, Kath. John Travolta was 23 when he was in Greece, so George Dockrell would be an old Greece John Travolta, if anything.
Not sure he'd get the part.
He may not get the part. He's probably a little bit more weathered. He spent a lot of time outdoors, George Dockrell. He's played a lot of cricket for someone his age. He started quite young, didn't he?
I remember him bursting on the scene actually in the Under-19 World Cup.
Yes. Arguably after about a year and a half, there was talk that England were not far away. Like he was really looked at that level as a prospect, and unfortunately his bowling has dropped off, but his batting is the one that stepped up. Late in career, he's switched around. Talking about switching around, Curtis Campher. He's going to be bowling to Glenn Phillips for his first over of the day. Projected scores, if they go at 11 and over, is 184. Half volley on middle stumps, which Phillips sort of plays around a little bit and steals a single up to mid-off. And they just take one, 75 for 2 here on talkSPORT 2 with Jarrah Kimber and Kath Dalton.
It's a crucial part now, this middle phase of a T20. This is where you either put the accelerator on as the batting side, or you can pick up some cheap wickets as well as a bowling side and just stem the flow of runs. So Curtis Campher's one for taking a wicket at the right time.
Cleaver is facing up to him. He's 21 off 19 balls, and he gets a slower ball back of a length that he whacks a full shot out to deep backward square. Oh, what are they doing? They decided to run then when Young had the ball in his hands and he was cocked, ready to throw, when suddenly Phillips decided to start running. I don't know what the confusion was, but in the end, there would have been a run out by about 4 metres if they'd gone through with that. He's
got a big smile on his face as well. He knows he got that completely wrong.
I don't know what he thought he heard, unless a fielder made the call.
I've seen that before, actually.
Under 13s cricket,
that.
Yeah. Phillips is facing up again. He's 3 off 5. Short ball, this is quicker. He smashes this out to deep backward square, but both the leg side fielders actually converge on it. And the ball is tossed in as they share it. And good fielding in the end, and they keep it down to 1. He's gone with the slower ball into the pitch, and now the quicker ball into the pitch, as we just see a replay of Adair throwing the ball to Dockrell. Baseball fielding, really, those two out there.
Nothing wrong with a bit of baseball.
Campher again, half volley on leg stump, which is flicked by Cleaver out to long on, or out to deep mid wicket in fact, and they just take the 1 again. So 4 singles. It's been binary. We've had a couple of moments in this game where we've gone to binary scoring, just ones and dots coming up at the moment, or ones and zeros if you technically want to be binary. I don't think they have dots on coding. Can you code, Kath?
I cannot code.
Oh, that's a shame. You could have helped me there. I don't think they use them anyway.
I'll be the worst person to ask.
We'll get Ian O'Brien on before. He's probably tried to code before.
He's got too much time on his hands.
Campher in again. Good pace in at the stumps. Sort of a length ball in the end, and it's just pushed back by Phillips to the bowler. He's frustrated with himself. Thinks he probably should have done more with that delivery. 78 for 2 New Zealand. Phillips on 4 from 7. Cleaver 23 from 21.
And talking of boundaries, they are hard to come by because Guptill didn't score a boundary in his innings. I know he only got 11, but 17 balls, no boundary.
Short, slow ball, outside off stump. Phillips has had enough of all this nonsense. He hits it to the large pocket at deep extra cover for a 4. Kath Dalton has inspired him to hit that, but it was a good slower ball, and the pace was fine, but it was too short and it was too wide, and it just got absolutely whacked.
Yeah, rightly so as well. Almost trying to, like a big leg cutter.
Yeah, it was,
that
wasn't
just
it?
just went wrong, almost came out the back of his hand, and that got absolutely dispatched.
We were talking about this in some of the one days. Curtis Camper has all the skills, but he doesn't always perfect them, if that makes sense.
I think all the island bowlers, to an extent, they've got a lot of skill, but it's just that consistency, and I think that's the difference between winning more games of cricket than losing. It's just consistency, and they've lacked that. The ball did seam around early on as well, so they can get a lot of seam and a bit of swing. It's just that consistency for the island bowlers.
Realistically, they've got 4 power play bowlers here, because McCarthy probably should be a power play bowler as well. And they're struggling to fit them all in, and that's their and they probably, Finn Allen ruined that, as McCarthy comes in again, and he follows Cleaver here and hits him on the pad, and it trickles out on the leg side. There's no run. So there's so many of their bowlers are that sort of, seam dependent, swing dependent sort of bowlers. They don't really have any strength in the middle, I wouldn't say.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Barry McCarthy actually has come back very well after that first over that went for 15. So he's bowling a lot better. His lengths are better, and his slow ball length is better as well. So he's learnt from that first over, that's for sure.
McCarthy in again, reverse scoop from Cleaver. I was confused because for a moment he looked like he was confused. He was going to play one shot and the ball wasn't quite there, and he's ended up reverse scooping this 4-6 off the middle of the bat over second slip's head, if there was a second slip there. Fantastic shot, great improvisation from the top of off, Kath.
That is absolutely outrageous, that shot. It looked like he just put his bat out to dry, or like a frying pan, and just flicked it, and it's gone all the way for 6.
Yeah, he was going to reverse, wasn't he? A big hit, I think, and then when the ball came, he just decided to ramp it. McCarthy in again, slow ball on off stump, almost identical except a little bit slower. This time he walks across his stumps and flicks it out the leg side. They take 1. Shows you how annoying it must be to be a modern bowler. Like, you bowl the same ball twice and they play completely different shots to you.
Yeah, and that's the challenge in T20 cricket in particular, is where do you bowl, where do you set your fielders? Cleaver's actually playing a decent little knock here. He seems to be growing into his innings. That scoop shot for 6 was absolutely ridiculous.
It's brilliant watching the replay. His little hops at the end. I think even he was confused at what he was going to play till the last minute, and then he played it perfectly. McCarthy comes in again. This is a good ball, but it's steered down to third man by Phillips, and that goes for 4. That was a good back of a length ball. It had decent pace on it, but in the end, Phillips rode it, and there's no third man out, and so he's picked up a boundary.
Yeah, nearly 139 kph that delivery. He's nicked that. No control on that whatsoever. Who'd be a bowler?
Yeah. He sort of rode it a little bit. He realised it was getting big on him, but with no one out there, he's got away with that. It was excellent bowling. And another boundary for McCarthy, who's bowled a couple of good overs here, but he's now going for a lot of runs in the middle of that. And this one is turned on the leg side. And you hear Phillips say 2. And it comes back good fielding in the outfield, but that was always in the gap, and Delaney couldn't stop that. We might see him bowl in a moment. 95 for 2 New Zealand. And again, they're rolling a little bit here. This over's been quite profitable. I don't think McCarthy's bowled a bad over, though.
Yeah, they've found a way of scoring off him. That's the thing, that even that 2 into the gap.
You've had the scoop, which was a good ball. You've had the edge, and now you've had that 2. There's a lot of runs that have come from this over, but this is certainly one of his better overs.
I'm sure I'd be pleased to hear that.
I mean, this is why sometimes when they made me analyst, they wouldn't let me talk to players. I'd go up and go, "No, you bowled really well, mate. I went for yeah, but you bowled well. I don't want to hear it." McCarthy comes in short. Oh, so short. That's gone over Lorca Tucker's head. Phillips just got down and didn't even worry about it, and suddenly realised that had gone for 4 wides. So 5 wides, in fact. It was angled down the leg side as well. That just got away from McCarthy. That's what you're talking about, this, being consistent, isn't it?
Yeah, just ill-directed, and Tucker just does not look very happy at his bowl at the moment. He's shaking his head because he couldn't get... Well, he got a palm on it, in fact, but...
I think he might be upset at himself there. He should have stopped that, looking at that replay. I think it might just feel like he got enough hand on that. He probably should have at least slowed it down. But it was very short and quite wide down the leg side. Slow ball. Outside leg stump. He's got away with this as well, as this is just flicked out to the sweeper. Harry Tector. And they take one, and Barry McCarthy very happy to leave the crease after that over. 37 for 3 he's gone for. That was a very expensive over from considering he's bowling in the middle overs, and he didn't bowl that bad. 101 for 2 on New Zealand here on talkSPORT 2 with Jared Kimber and Kath Dalton. Remember that you can listen to The Cricket Collective, a dedicated cricket show, which is on every Tuesday evening on talkSPORT 2 with Neil Manthorpe and Steve Harmison as they review the week's biggest stories. And then if you missed it, and you shouldn't miss it, obviously, Kath, but if you do miss it, you can go and listen to it on the podcast feed, the following on. Many great cricket podcasts out there, though, if you want to look for any other cricket podcast. But the following on is one of the better ones, I'd say.
Are you trying to plug something?
No, not at all. I wouldn't tell anyone to look up Jared Kimber and podcasts. That would be unprofessional while I'm here on talkSPORT 2. Working for them. Bowling change again. I thought we might see Gareth Delaney bowl a couple of overs to leg spin, or they might have gone back to Dockrell, but instead we've got the third over of Josh Little. Now, considering that New Zealand are 101 for 2 after 12, Josh Little's gone 1 for 8 in 2 so far, and has bowled magnificently well. He's got a bunch of fielders out on the leg side, 3 sweepers out there. Comes in again, hits the pitch hard just around middle and off stump, and it's pushed on the offside, and they take one. Does Paul Sterling give up an overthrow almost there? It's a wild throw, not particularly good backing up either, but they've just gone through for the one. Oh, did they not? Yeah, they did take one there, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah.
I think this is smart cricket, though, by Ireland. You need to break a partnership up. You have to bring on your premier bowler, your best bowler on the day, and that is just Josh Little.
I'm with you, but they now don't have him for the death as much. They only have one over from him from the death. So maybe that was the plan coming in. But they're clearly attacking, which is good. Slow ball on a length and is whacked out to deep mid-wicket. George Dockrell fields, and they just come back for a single there.
I still think you bring them on. It's a risk, of course, because obviously he's not going to have that over at the death, but when they're 103 for 2, wickets in hand, you have to get a wicket here, just to stem the flow of the runs and put a little bit of pressure back on New Zealand.
If they go at 10s from here, they're looking at 180. 8 wickets in hand. Phillips hasn't even got started yet, and he can absolutely go. And he has. He's pulled this out for 6 again into the trees at Stormont. I think that might have been the slower ball, was it? And he might have just picked that up, and it was on a good length, and he just whacked it over deep mid-wicket for 6.
Yeah, great shot. Went deep in his crease to just create a little bit of room. Cleared his left leg. Front foot pull. Fantastic shot. Great hand speed as well through the back of that ball. That has gone all the way.
The way he decided to play that late, I thought it was a slow ball, but looking at that again, that just looks like seam up. He just had so much time on that.
He did, yeah. Sometimes when you go back in your crease as well, you obviously give yourself a little bit more time to hit it. It's a powerful shot, and they're finding it difficult to find the ball at the moment.
I thought the ball hit the square leg umpire's camera for the run out and went sideways. It's a little bit like a computer game. You know, you're playing cricket or golf on a computer and it hits something and wangs sideways. I thought it hit something and veered off. I don't think it went all the way into... I originally said it went into the bushes, but I know they are looking in the bushes as well. But I don't think it went the angle they think it went. So we've got a bit of a break in play here as Josh Little and Markadera talking. Markadere's bowled 2 overs so far. Is that right, Kath?
That is correct.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think I would have brought him back on because I think he's as good as a strike bowler as Josh Little is. But I think Josh Little might be slightly better off at the death. But they obviously decided to go with Little. Little and Adair should make a great partnership going into the future for Ireland. We found, I'm going to say a ball. I'm hoping it's the ball, but it could be anything. Partnership is 39 of 22. Phillips is now 22 of 13 after pumping that last one for 6. He gets an edge here, and I think that's short. Craig Young doesn't even appeal for that. He tries to flick this on the offside, gets the toe of the bat, and it just lands short of the short third man, which is Craig Young. And again, Phillips gets the outside part of the bat, and again he gets lucky.
Yeah, a little bit of luck through his hands outside off stump there to that delivery. He has fallen short of Craig Young.
Craig Young got a bit stuck in the turf himself, I think, there.
Looks like he's got a sore knee now, doesn't he?
Yeah. There was certainly a scab or blood or something has happened off his knee there, but he picked it up, but I think by the time he got his feet set, he couldn't come forward. I'm not sure he would have reached it anyway. Little again hits the bat so hard with that left arm seam, and they take a single to backward point as Phillips opens to face. 110 for 2 as Phillips moves to 23. Cleaver's on 31. Little has gone for 17 with 1 ball to come in his third over. So the wicket that Ireland were looking for with Andy Balboni's risk has not come so far in this over.
Not yet. Still 1 ball left.
Kath Dalton leads for that last wicket.
Keeping the positivity alive.
Yep. Some conversations between Ireland team, and this is a good ball from Josh Little, and Cleaver then looked all over the place. He's ended up from leg stump pushing it to mid-off and scampering through for a single, but I wonder if he was going to scoop that because he moved his feet. He does move around the wicket a lot. Anyway, talkSPORT 2, Jared Kipper, Kath Dalton, 111 for 2 after 13 overs. Reminder that we'll bring you more of Ireland's home fixtures this summer with their upcoming white ball series against South Africa here on talkSPORT 2. Kath Dalton of Ireland, of England A, of West Ham, of Tottenham. Have I got them all right?
I have actually.
I should have written them down.
It's been on my wiki page.
Yeah. Partnership is 41 from 25. Both the players, it's really Guptill that is the only one who struggled to get the ball away on this wicket, but he did have probably his worst matchups. He had left arm seam and finger spin, neither of which he likes. McCarthy's gone for 12 runs and over from his 3 overs so far. Young has also had a bit of tap, although most of his was in his first over. You see George Dockrell come back on.
Ireland's leading wicket taker is George Dockrell.
And yet is a batter now.
Yes. Can you imagine if he actually did bowl, how many more wickets he would have taken?
I remember, I think in one-day internationals, I think the third leading wicket taker for Sri Lanka is Sanif Jayasuriya. This is outside of stump and punched out to deep point, and they're going to think of 2. As Curtis Camps comes around and Cleaver easily picks up 2. Just because Sanif Jayasuriya played about 1 million one-days, and even though he didn't always bowl his overs, he chipped in for the odd wicket. So you do get anomalies like this, but Dockrell certainly started as a specialist bowler before becoming a batter, and now he's almost back to being an all-rounder again. He doesn't bowl his full allocation that much in one-day cricket, but he chips in a little bit, and T20s he seems to be bowling again. Should say that Glenn Phillips doesn't particularly like left arm finger spin. It's probably what he's weakest against. He doesn't like finger spin in general. But it's a full ball outside of stump that Cleaver tries to launch this over cover or mid-off, and he ends up getting the outside part of the bat, and Craig Young again is in the action as this just loops over his head. It's not often when you face a left arm finger spinner that you get an edge that goes over short third man's head.
Yeah, Cleaver moved outside the off stump and Dockrell followed him.
It's quick, wasn't it?
Yeah, he just thought, I'm going to throw my hands through this, and you get lucky, I think, in T20 cricket. Short third, in the ring, throw your hands at it, it's 4.
38 of 28, he comes down the wicket. Jeez, he's got good footwork. He came down the wicket, was beaten there, and there's a fumble out at cover, and they're going to come back for 2. He was beaten in the flight, and sort of just either with his hands or his footwork, managed to get back into a good position and struck that beautifully.
Actually, something I noticed earlier on was Cleaver was struggling at the start of his innings, and he started to use his feet even a little bit to the seamers coming down the wicket, just a little bit, not a lot, and it's changed his game.
He faces up to Dockrell again. This should be out stumped, and it is not. Lorcan Tucker did keep low and went between the batter and the stump, so just between outside leg stump. But he got a good side at that Lorcan Tucker, and he has missed a stumping, and that is very, very disappointing for George Dockrell. He just came up too early, I think, for mine there, Lorcan Tucker.
Just as I was praising Cleaver for using his feet, he has a massive swing at this. Completely misses it.
Faster ball from Dockrell, and he mistimes a pull shot out to the sweeper, and they're going to take a couple as Harry Tector comes around. And so I think they brought Dockrell on partly to bowl to Phillips, and so far we've had 2, 4, 2.2, and he hasn't bowled a single ball to Phillips, but he should have dismissed Cleaver with that stumping. And it was a big one. I mean, I said a minute ago, he used his feet well. This time he came down the wicket and then ended up just slogging across the line. He's done it again. And Dockrell, clever, goes for the leg side stumping. Unfortunately, it's a direct hit at short fine leg. I think he's in, though. Unfortunately, gets a little bit of a leg, his legs inside this. And Josh Little is appealing for that. They're going to go up, but I think he's got in. But as Cleaver came down to hit it, he stuck his leg out. And they're just going to go through for the one, but we're just going to have a quick look at the run out. You were a bit more excited than I was.
TV umpire to director.
I don't know, I just
we have
had
an
a sense
umpire
that he
review
wasn't
for a run out.
aware.
Can we have your best side angle, please?
I think you're right. He wasn't aware, but I think he still got in, did Glenn Phillips? As he quite often is. He's in conversations with about 7 different people here. And just having a look, I tell you what, he wasn't. It's about a foot and a half that he's in, but good fielding from Josh Little.
I think it was because he was strolling more than anything else. He wasn't sprinting to get back.
Into the 14th over, 122 for 2, as that's not out. Phillips 23 off 15, Cleaver 42 off 32. Dockrell's gone for 20 in his 3 overs with the 2 right-handers out there. He was strolling, but on top of that, he also ran into George Dockrell. So he massively slowed himself down twice there. So if Phillips had been run out, it would have been completely his fault. It looks like Young's coming back on. I thought with the 2 right-handers, they might have tried to squeeze an over of Delaney's inconsistent leg spin, but it's spinning away from the batters, but they haven't. They've gone back to Young.
Yeah, I'm surprised by that as well. Particularly at this stage, it might not have been a bad idea to give him a ball.
This is a good ball at leg stump. They've appealed for it. It was a length ball. He tried to whip it across the line, did Cleaver. I think that if I was Lorcan Tucker, I might have appealed slightly stronger for that, but they've ended up taking a leg bye out to point.
They've set themselves up here really well, though, New Zealand, with wickets in hand as well at the back end of a T20. If you've got a lot of wickets in hand, you just have a little bit more freedom in your mind to go for it. It's a good partnership here between these two, Phillips and Cleaver.
I think if I'm a bowler and my wicketkeeper doesn't go up for that LB, it wasn't out. It wouldn't have been out, but if he doesn't even go up for the straight ones when they hit the pads, I think I would be having a little, especially with the senior bowler to the younger wicketkeeper of like, I know you didn't think it was out, mate, but put your arm up and make a noise. Young definitely appealed for that on his own. He comes in again, gives himself some room, does Glenn Phillips, and that room is taken up by Craig Young's length ball, which takes middle stump out. He's castled him. Phillips just tried to slap this over deep mid-wicket and has been clean bowled by Young.
Is there a better sight for a fast bowler than a stump coming out of the ground and tumbling?
Jeez, he went through that quickly, didn't he? I think that was the cross seam ball. May have held up a little bit. It was a good view, but it was also a great sound. He made a very clean hit on the stump. Did you notice?
Yeah, it was a lovely sound off the stumps.
It wasn't quite Simon Jones to Michael Clark, but it was in that oeuvre of soundtracks of cricket. Glenn Phillips is gone. Darryl Mitchell has come out to bat, but Young will be happy. He'd been hit in that first over. I thought his second over was fine, but he'll be happy to see the back of Phillips there. Mitchell, obviously a very, very good player as well. He was their opener in the World Cup, of course. And we're just having trouble here because Craig Young has completely destroyed the stump. He's taken it out the ground, and we've now got the technician and the umpire. You can just hear them patting the stump, Mike, to try and get it back in.
It's always nervous when they come out with a hammer to fix something.
This is where you need Neil Wagner. He loves coming out with that. So, good ball by Craig Young, but it was a length delivery at the top of his stumps. I think if Phillips stays in his position, probably can just hit that straight, but he's gone for the leg side boundary, and unfortunately he's lost his middle stump I reckon that's gone about 4 metres back, Kath.
Yeah, and he also stepped wider than the wide line, so his left foot was quite wide, and he just found it difficult to reach it in the end.
But it is Darryl Mitchell who's come out, the star of the England summer, really, could not stop making runs. He's got long on and comes up into the circle. Long off and long on, in fact. So they're protecting those square boundaries. I think those square boundary on the leg side must be short, which is probably another reason that Glenn Phillips was looking for it. As Young comes into Mitchell again. It's short, it's outside of stump. He goes for a pull shot. He looks for the wide. He doesn't get it. What do you think? That was close to a wide.
It looked close, but I quite like a bouncer, so good aggression from Young. That was a wide, wasn't it? It's close.
We've got a lot of right-handers in this lineup for New Zealand. We're just tinkering with the field. So long one went out, and then long one's come back in straight away. As Young is going to go, I guess, into the wicket again. He does, and this is pushed to mid-on, who's up in the circle, but Young can't stop it, and they go through for one.
Yeah, good field change in the end. If you're going to bowl it into the pitch, you can bring your mid-on up, but you have to bowl into the pitch. You can't bowl full with mid-on up in the circle.
Just having a look at some of the stats from Intelligent Cricket, they sent us through some. So again, I think if they can spin the ball away from Mitchell, it might be an option for them towards the end. But they've got a lot of seamers left to bowl as well. And he follows him, Cleaver, who tries to flick this on the leg side. He gets a leading edge, almost out to deep cover, as that loops up. A couple of times we've seen when you follow Cleaver, when he uses his feet, he gets himself a little bit lost, as apparently the police are on their way, Kath.
They're coming to get him. Yeah, just used his feet there again, but got a little bit stuck when it was bowled a little bit more at him, and it would have gone straight to cover had cover been in the ring, but obviously cover out at this stage.
Okay, so 125 for 3. This is the last ball of the 15th over. Mitchell's on 1. Cleaver's partnering in the 43. Mitchell faces up again. He gets a little bit on this, and it's run away for 4. I'm not sure. I think it was off the hip, but I'm not sure if he got an inside edge as well. He followed him there, Young. It's been given 4 leg byes as it passes Lorcan Tucker, who was darting down the leg side, and another boundary. They've found a lot of runs in extras in this game so far. So here on talkSPORT 2 after 15 overs, 129 for 3. Mitchell on 1. Cleaver on 43, and according to Intelligent Cricket's win predictor, New Zealand have a 75% chance from here. They could really put some hurt on Ireland, couldn't they?
75% chance of winning? Or?
Yeah.
Oh, right, I see.
Of something.
75% chance of something.
16 extras, Kath.
Yeah, it's not great, is it?
So that would be, we've seen leg byes, 2 leg byes go for 4. We've seen the 5 wides, and maybe 1 or 2 other wides as well. As I think, Kath, you're going to have a spell, and you're going to be replaced with Ian O'Brien. I think Jonathan Norman will replace me, and Mark Adair is coming back on to bowl himself. Take it away, Jonathan.
Thank you very much, Jerry Kimber. Well, New Zealand 129 for 3. So if they go at 10s from here, they'll reach 179, which is kind of where past score was given at the start of the match, as Cleaver once again attempts that essentially revert. Well, Kath Dalton described it as getting the frying pan out and just flicking it over your shoulder. That's pancake day.
Pretty much, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Afternoon, John.
Afternoon, IOB.
It's quite a different sort of a feel to this. How then when we were on, it was dots and ones. It was Morse code, and it seems to be a little bit more intent now.
Yes, and Cleaver, it's been an unusual innings. It's been a bit of an ugly innings. This is a slow delivery, and exactly as I say, an ugly shot really. Just about clears of field inside the circle at mid-off, and runs away for 4. So Cleaver moves to 47 from 36 deliveries, and I suppose it's not how you get him, it's what you do when you're out there. And after a very, very sticky start, he's approaching 50 and just his second at T20 for New Zealand. And
really raced through with that strike rate. He was 3 off 7, 3 off 8, and it was really languishing at sub 50.
Bouncer from Adair. Now
he's
Cleaver's
a submarine
on the floor, not so much because of the fierce nature of this short ball from Adair. It's not going at Michael Holding's speed, but essentially I think that Cleaver was caught in 2 minds there. he realised that the angle of the bouncer was going so far down the leg side. All he had to do was help the ball on its way, and it would have gone to the boundary. But by that point, he got himself in all manner of a mess, and has ended up on his not even his backside. He's on his back.
Yeah, it's sort of a combination of Spriggs gripping and Spriggs not gripping. Interesting marker there, not bowling the 18th here.
Down the track, inside edge. That again could have gone anywhere. Just squirts out onto the leg side behind the stumps. It's fielded by the keeper, who's had a difficult day himself, Tucker. He let 5 wides through on another day. Certainly would have prevented the ball from going to the boundary. He's missed a relatively straightforward stumping. He was unsighted. The ball possibly kept a little low. But Cleaver was well down the track.
He didn't look to tidy up either, the stumping. And that was the awkward bit. He sort of, I've missed it, and then just kind of froze and did nothing after that. That was awkward.
There in again. This keeps low. Mitchell pulls quite magnificently backward a square on the leg side and away for 4. He moves to 5. Yeah, there was that kind of moment, wasn't there, between batter and keeper, where essentially the batter realises he's out, he's never going to get back. He's never going to get back, and he is about to be stumped, and then look back and realise that the ball hadn't been taken cleanly. And there's that millisecond, isn't there, between keeper and batter, where they both kind of almost look at each other. Are you going to get the ball?
Shouldn't you be?
Yeah.
And shouldn't I be? And
which one of us is going to move first?
And as a keeper, your job is to just dig around in the dirt and do your best to do that, and he just froze.
Full. And played back to the bowler Adair by Mitchell, fielded, so no run, and that's at the end of the over. So 16 gone, New Zealand 138 for 3 with Mitchell 5 and Cleaver 48.
I just mentioned Adair bowled the 18th and the 20th in the previous ODI, T20 I should say, and the 18th went for 14 or 15 and the 20th didn't go better for him. Getting him in and into the his third over, getting that out of the way earlier, so that he only has 1 left in this last 4 overs. New Zealand got themselves into a good position. Cleaver, still a batsman of two different. They both shape up, they both set up the same, but there's two different guys playing out there. The guy that hits the ball cleanly, and then there's the guy that sort of doesn't actually almost look like he knows how to bat. But he's turned this into a very good innings, and in the shape that Phillips did in the first one. Phillips' 69 off 52 got New Zealand through to a winning target, and Cleaver's doing that similar job here. It was good to see Phillips score some more runs again. Another partnership through the middle.
Well, there was an interesting moment involving Phillips, wasn't there? Because he was almost run out after a collision with the bowler George Dockrell, and it reminded me of that very famous moment back in 2008. New Zealand and England.
I was in Montreal. There you go.
You were in Montreal, so you weren't part of that England. You weren't part of that New Zealand squad.
I played the
Must have been around the time.
I played the Test match. I played the 3 Test series. I played the 2nd and 3rd Test, and then wasn't part of the one day.
So you headed off.
So I went and had 4 weeks in Canada with my now wife, and go on, talk us through the Oval moment.
Well, I was just wondering whether you were in the dressing room, because I've never seen Daniel Vettori as angry as he was that day. That's for sure. I mean, you might have, but
no, never ever have I seen him like that, and I wasn't there in the flesh, and it gets played on TV quite a bit over here, and every time I see it, I send Dan a message and I say, I've just seen that again. I've just seen that again. He's still embarrassed.
McCarthy, first ball of his 4th. Cleaver has picked this up and smashed it into the advertising hoarding. Just for a second, the fielder at mid-wicket. It was an extraordinary dive, but I think that even Curtis Campher, the most positive man in world cricket, knew that he was pulling off that manoeuvre for the cameras. A raise of the bat for Cleaver. He's gone past 50. Few predicted that after his first 6 balls, but hey, he's stuck around and he's making it count. 144 for 3.
I don't care who you are, but you can't bowl a slower ball on leg stump, half volley to anybody, no matter what kind of form. And Cleaver has put some beauties away, and he's missed some awkward ones. A wonderful little sort of celebration between Mitchell and Cleaver. Mitchell really sort of enjoying it with him.
Full again on the pad, set clipped away nicely by Cleaver, who surprisingly doesn't come back for a second. I thought there was 2 there. A misfield as well, but Mitchell will take the 3rd ball of the over. McCarthy's been expensive, actually.
It was cool seeing Mitchell sort of over-celebrate that with Cleaver, almost as if Cleaver was slightly sort of too embarrassed to celebrate it. But Mitchell was like, nah, mate, we're celebrating this. You've just done something you've never done before in front of your family as well. Let's make a little moment of this, because you've got to make moments of things like that, little memories. They keep you going through the dark days too.
Yeah, well said, mate, well said. We'd all love to do it as well. Full again by McCarthy. On the drive is Mitchell. This squirts out to square leg. 1 run, 146 for 3. So Dan Vettori, going back to that point, he's still.
Every time I see it, I say, they've just replayed that again, Dan. And he goes, and pretty much stocks down. Still embarrassed. Yeah, the whole of the New Zealand, basically all of the New Zealand changing room out on the stairs at the Oval, pointing and gesticulating. I think that's the right word, across to the opposite balcony. Oh, that was a spicy one, wasn't it?
It was. Down the leg side, Cleaver moves to the off. That ball was there to be spanked. Just a little bit of a deflection off of his waist, I think, Cleaver. This might be called leg buys. The batter's come through for 1, so McCarthy getting away with one there. 45 runs though from his 3.3 overs. Yeah, one of my defining moments from that game was the umpire. I can't remember who it was. Was it Ian Gould?
Ian Gould, yep, putting his arms
around Paul Collingwood and just saying, Are you sure you're gonna? And you don't want to withdraw that appeal for a run out? McCarthy full, dug out by Cleaver, and Mitchell rather. And Mitchell sends Cleaver back, and Cleaver Jr. has just woken up. He's just missed his dad go past 50, playing for his country.
Imagine, like looking back and you go, that's me sitting on a balcony in Belfast watching my dad. Man. See, I think that players having kids while they're still players, I think that's kind of cool, and I wish I would love to have kids earlier, sooner. But we're talking about the Ryan Sidebottom Grant Elliott collision, aren't we?
That's right. Last ball of the 17th over. Cleaver's innings might be about to come to a close. No, again, top edge, but bounces well short of fine leg, and Mitchell sent back as well. Otherwise, he would have been run out. And that really, in a nutshell, is kind of summing up, in a weird way, Cleaver's innings so far. There's been some beautiful shot play, but also some very fortunate moments. Missed stumping earlier on the piece. A couple of miscued shots that have just dropped short of fielders. But he's still there. 58 not out from 43 deliveries. New Zealand, 3 overs remaining in the 20. 149 for 3.
Is it Barry McCarthy just finished 4 overs for 49, was it? 48 or 49?
I
think his first over went for a couple. The second over was dots and ones. Sort of one of those games where your overs are either clean or they're filthy. It doesn't seem to be a lot of overs that are going for sort of 6 and 8 where you're just accumulating. They're either sort of 3 or they're going for double figures because you've missed a couple of deliveries.
Apart from Finn Allen, there's been no fluency from the batters or the bowlers in this match.
When Cleaver's looked fluent, he's been fluent, but then there's been little in between. But Finn looked, I absolutely agree, Finn looked like it was a glass top that he had been training on for 3 weeks.
In an era of big hitting, Finn Allen, actually there's a big buzz around him in New Zealand, isn't there? And has been for a couple of years. I caught a couple of his Super Smash innings, and he goes from the outset. Great pick up and pull from Cleaver. He does like it. Straight on the body. Good length, and he swivels and pulls that away for 6.
Can you remember when we were on and he gave himself some room, and then there was one about sort of hip height, and he made an awkwardness of pushing it to cover. It was about hip and into his hip. And I said, that was kind of the shot that he should have played. And he did it 2 overs later, and he's done it again here. I'm still confused by how it happened, how he missed out earlier in the innings. But lovely shot, good clean hit.
Yeah, Luke Wright on the sidelines applauding that one. The kind of shot that we would have seen Luke Wright hit when he was playing, and he does still play. Swing and a miss this time from Cleaver. A bit of swing, I think, from Young. But yeah, 155 for 3.
She brought up the 50s, 35, 36, 32. So it hasn't really changed, although this last 50 feels like the quickest. It feels like the quickest 50. The first one, sure, the first one was quick with Finn going nicely. That second one was 36, only 3 balls more. That felt like an age, that second one, but it was only three, sort of half and over.
Young in, and once again Cleaver attempts the pancake, and for the second time in a row fails to connect with the ball that just travels over off stump and goes through to the keeper. I mean, that was there to be smashed into to mid-wicket or to square leg. That's the strange thing with that shot, and he looks awful when he misses as well.
And there's that thing, he has got it away, and he has done it quite well during the innings, but then he's just dished him up the same as what he just hit over mid-wicket.
Bouncer, and down on one knee is Cleaver, who goes for an extravagant pull shot, but again, the innings progresses.
We're back to that, the awkward Cleaver, 6 and then 3 dots. We're back to a guy that's maybe overthinking it as opposed to just see ball, hit ball.
Yeah, I thought he seemed nervous, to be honest, in that first over or two, and now I think he is overthinking things again.
It's saying overthinking, it still means you've got to find gaps in the park and shift the fielders around.
Back and pulls, does Cleaver, out to mid-wicket and comes through for the second. Mitchell ran that first one very, very hard. He knew he'll be running back to the danger zone. Keeps Cleaver on strike. 1 ball left to the 18th, and Cleaver's 66 from 48. Again, no real timing from that shot.
Sort of slow ball. Did just stick a little bit, stayed a little bit low, so toe of the bat.
Last ball of the over as Cleaver moves across to the offside and lofts this drive towards long off for a single. That brings it to an end, an all or nothing kind of over. 6 from the first ball, 3 dot balls, 2 and then 1. 158 for 3 and 170, 180 still on the cards for New Zealand.
You're bowling near the death. New Zealand, the opposition are only 3 down, so there's 7 in hand. You go for a 6 off your first delivery, and you get out of the over for only going for 9. That is a massive win for Young. There, finishing his 4 overs with 2 for 34, getting out of that for just 9. 3 dots, a 2 and a 1. That's just the cliche of Cleaver today. A real dichotomy of dots and dashes.
Well, we're in a very similar territory to where we were with that first T20, aren't we? Where Ireland had a grip of the game. I'm not saying they've quite got the same kind of grip today, but it was the last over or 2 that cost them. And they'll be absolutely desperate for that not to happen again today. New Zealand, won the first T20 by 31 runs. It seemed quite comfortable, but they were 154 for 8 at the start of the 20th over. Here we are, 158 for 3, and they went on to score 173 in that first T20. Ireland cannot afford for the same thing to happen here, otherwise Ireland are going to be facing 190, which on this pitch I'd say is going to prove to be particularly difficult. Little back and wide, full and carved up and over a backward point for a boundary. So that's the start to the over that Little and Ireland didn't want. Cleaver moves to 71.
That's terrible bowling. That cannot be any part of the plan. Full and wide with third man up. That's a massive miss, or someone's got their fielding so badly wrong. But nicely played. Just let it slice off the face of the bat. And I think that's a really easy shot for anyone. When you know third man's up and you get full and wide, you just let the bottom hand unwind, and it doesn't matter how you hit it. It's going to beat the fielder along the ground, or it's going to be unlucky if you do hit the fielder.
Pressure on the bowler. Little on the pull this time is Cleaver, and fielded on the bounce at square leg. So this time the bowler is bowling to his field, but the run scoring, or rather the runs that continue. 163 for 3. Now Mitchell's on strike.
Yeah, well, Bolt gets the guy off strike that you wanted to, and I think that's slow ball with the protection out on the onside. That's all you want to do at this stage of the game. Get the guy that has had a little bit more of the time on strike. Mitchell didn't go well in the first T20.
Mitchell goes better on this occasion. Helps this ball up and over the fielder inside the circle. That short fine leg, and as soon as he does that, you know the rest. 167 for 3.
This is the awkward 19th. Well, it was the 18th over that done for them the other day in the first T20. This is now the 19th, but this is turning messy quite quickly for Ireland. Yeah, that just too easy for Mitchell. Waiting and waiting and waiting on the slow ball, short ball. Sounds like the Basin. Sounds like we're at the Basin Reserve again with all the ambulances going around, the largest roundabout in the world, Southern Hemisphere or something.
And is it just me, or do the drivers around the Basin know that they're on radio, so they always beat their horns so they can be on the radio? Fuller and driven down the ground by Mitchell and fielded. That's a poor bit of fielding by Mark Adair. That should have been comfortably cut off, but instead overran it and got a hand to the ball, but couldn't prevent the ball from slapping onto the boundary. So this is getting painful for Ireland. Another 4 going to the score.
And that's just a little bit yuck from Mark Adair. He's tried to pick it up, but really in that situation, because he's coming around from long on is right there. The only job you do there is make sure that you go down with 2 palms like a goalkeeper and just keep it in front of you. You don't have to pick it up clean. You don't have to get it in your hands. All you have to do is just palm it off. Keep it in front of you, which he should have just pushed it towards the long on who was coming around. It slipped through for 4.
And Josh Little's figures are taking a bit of a pasting. Mitchell's beaten this time though. 3 fours from the over, but there's a dot ball. 171 for 3. We've got 7 balls left of the innings. New Zealand eyeing 185 here.
This change of pace is... I do enjoy this change of pace, my little. The slow balls, I think, are just a fraction slow, but it does make his stock delivery, his seam up, when he gets both fingers behind the ball. It does make that real slippery.
A move by Mitchell to the offside. Goes for the hook. Top edge sails up into the sky and caught behind the stumps by Tucker. So a good comeback from Little, who picks up his 2nd wicket of the match. He's bowled well. Mitchell goes for 14. New Zealand lose their 4th, 171 for 4.
Has to go with his 4 in the first T20. He's bowled very well. He has caused. Jared was talking about some of his power play bowling earlier. I think he's not a bad sort of all-round play. He does all right in the power play. I think he's pretty handy bowler coming back to pick up a wicket through the middle. It's just a whittle. Yeah, that's a wicket in the middle muddled up. And then I think his death bowling with his changes, his variations, when he gets them right. And I think that when he changes goes up in pace, I think he's even better. And he's finished off a tough over nicely. Although not the... Yeah, it was a free wicket in essence. Mitchell wasn't necessarily changing the scoreboard, and it does bring out Neesham, who was 29 off 16 in the first T20.
Well, Neesham was involved in that interesting moment in the Vitality Blast, where essentially to make sure he was on strike for the first ball of the last over of a 2020, went for a run and then essentially ran his partner out on purpose just to make sure he was on strike, but he did it brilliantly well as Cleaver, first ball of the last over, punches this full delivery from Adair up to Barry McCarthy, I think it is, running in at mid-off. So 1 run added to the score, and Neesham will face his first delivery of the innings. 172 for 4, New Zealand. Yeah,
up towards that. Yeah, 173. So they're getting towards what's 3rd highest score. So they'll probably overtake that and end up. Well, it'll be 3rd highest score again, but getting past what they have done before. Adair, some little ghosts in the closet here, bowling the last over of this T20. He doesn't have to back up an 18th here that didn't go so good. So he does have that little bit of weight off his shoulders. But he does know that his 20th over in the first T20 between these two here at the same ground in Stormont, Belfast, gave New Zealand a big lead in terms of Ireland being able to chase down on a tough batting surface.
Adair's in, and a swing from Neesham, who almost looks surprised at the low bounce, I think, from the bowler. No run.
Slow bounce, a real slow off-cutter, and just a little bit of grip. That grip kicks a fraction, and the left-hander nowhere near. That is to a left-hander, that's the ball that most right-handers go to. A little kicking sort of off-spinner. And if it bounces just a fraction, if you get just a little bit of topspin on it with the off-spin action, typically you go over the edge or you go down to the third man boundary for 4. So again, I've said it before, I love having my third man very fine at the death.
We're round the wicket, and this would be called a wide. Just no, I'm not sure if that was back of the hand, but essentially just got the line wrong.
It was well bowled. It was well bowled. Neesham went across the stumps fractionally, and then it was probably 3 inches, 4 inches outside that the guidelines. So you don't mind missing there. Giving away a wide and missing in that area as a bowling group, that's a good miss. If that makes sense, because you're not bowling it into the batter's arc.
Continuing round the wicket, short ball bouncer, and Neesham had all the time in the world, but could only pick out the field inside the circle at fine leg. It bounces just in front of Young, awkwardly. Fields though, and it's just a single. So good over from Adair so far, this final one of the 20. New Zealand 174 for 4, just being kept in check just when Ireland needed them.
Yeah, very good over, and again, just going back to that point, it's 20th over. Wasn't great 2 days ago. This one so far, very, very good.
3 balls left of the last over. Cleaver playing just his second at T20 for New Zealand, unbeaten, 73 from 52. He will face this delivery. Ireland need to win this match to keep the series alive, as Adair is in, and how do you describe this? Essentially, Cleaver moves 2 or 3 steps to the offside before the ball is delivered. Seeing him move, Adair fires the ball wider of the right-hander, but still within the tram lines. It's a slower delivery, and
French cricket.
At that point, the batter, Cleaver, decides to play, French cricket.
Too clever.
And push the ball into the offside. No run. That's pretty much what Cleaver should have done to the last delivery, is just maintain his body shape, maintain his position, and thrash his arms through the line of the ball, and the ball hits the bat and flicks up and over the fielder at backward point and away for 4. Easy game, Ian O'Brien.
I'm going to go full and wide with your third man up. You just can't. Doesn't matter if it's quick or if it's off speed. I just don't think you can go fullish and wideish with your third man up, because all you have to do as a batter, you just have to free your hands and let go of the bottom hand. It doesn't matter if you face it, you toe it, you edge it. You're pretty unlucky to hit the fielder.
Last ball full, dug out by Cleaver, fielded by Balbirnie at backward point, and that brings the innings to a close. 179 for 4, with Cleaver top scoring with 78 in his second ever T20 for New Zealand. Mark Adair's 4 overs going for just 28, and it's probably 10 runs more than Ireland would have wanted, but considering where New Zealand had been out on occasion, I think they just about will take it. But saying that, I think New Zealand will be quite happy with what they've got as well.
I think both teams will be reasonably happy. I think Ireland will be slightly happier at this stage than they were 2 days ago. I don't think New Zealand, I think they would have wanted a little bit more. The track is a little bit better. It's not a great batting track, it's not the easiest, but I think it is somewhat easier to bat on than it was 2 days ago. So only scoring sort of 6 runs more. I think the pitch is sort of 10 or 12 runs more better, I should say, than it was. So I think Ireland will feel just that little bit more better as the two teams head into the sheds for quick little bit of bite to eat, and then back out in a couple of minutes' time.
At no point were Ireland on top of New Zealand in that innings, but rarely did New Zealand appear to be on top of Ireland at the same time.
The first wicket partnership, basically just Finn Allen. I think you can always take Martin Guptill out of that, because Guptill was just at run a ball, I think, only just. But that Finn Allen partnership at the top, 44 from 27, it's then from there that there is no real ascendancy. The partnership between Phillips and Cleaver eventually got New Zealand into a good position to attack at the end. But the attack at the end was undone by some good bowling, and I think, again, still not an easy pitch to bat on. Here's Dane Cleaver.
Nice having that look last game, and sometimes it goes your way and sometimes it doesn't.
Okay, obviously your family are here as well. The young baby George, just 6 months old as well, so that must be double delight for you.
Yeah, no, I feel very lucky to have the opportunity to have my family over here, and they're loving Ireland, and it's been really special.
Sure. 179 for 4, is that enough?
Yes.
Definitely. What kind of pitch are we playing on out there? It's obviously very defendable, you think?
Yeah, no, I think it's a good wicket, but I think it's shown the first game if you put the ball in the right area, and we've got some pretty skillful bowlers, so looking forward to the challenge.
Yeah, and a good total of 179, 170 odd the other day as well, so, must be very happy the way things are going in these games so far.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good score, and the boys are enjoying their time and playing some good cricket, so no dramas.
Okay, no dramas. Good score, 78. Well done, Dane Cleaver.
Thank you very much.
Oh, that's brilliant. I love that. Okay, so that was Dane Cleaver, 78 not out. Played just his second T20, and he did it in front of his partner and his six-month-old child as well. So it doesn't get much better than that at the start of your career. Let's see if it turns out to be a match-winning innings, shall we? New Zealand have posted 179 for 4. And we will be bringing you Ireland's reply very shortly here in the second T20 of 3. Live and exclusive on talkSPORT 2.
Big hitting live ball-by-ball commentary as Ireland take on New Zealand in the second T20 International.
And he's nicked the next ball through to the keeper.
On talkSPORT 2.
Make sure you kick off every Saturday and Sunday morning with Game Day Breakfast on talkSPORT with The Sun. Join Natalie Sawyer and Tony Cascarino for all the latest news, essential previews, expert insight, exclusive interviews, and everything you need to make sure you're ahead of the game.
You better believe it!
Game Day Breakfast this Saturday morning from 6 on talkSPORT with The Sun.
Oh, it's absolutely magnificent!
Follow all the match action and breaking news on The Sun live blogs. Visit thesun.co.uk.
Every day, all across the world, millions of people open up their homes to guests with Airbnb. And you could too, putting that place of yours to work and earning some useful extra income. But we know taking that first step can feel like a big deal. So we've taken a step to put your mind at ease. It's called Air Cover. It's top-to-bottom protection every time you host, giving you the confidence that your space and belongings are covered. Discover more at airbnb.com/aircover for hosts.
Welcome back to Name That Engine Tune. 2 local garages are one question away from earning a place on the Green Flag Network.
Final tune.
Kipford Autos?
Shredded Sunbelt.
Bolton Breakdowns.
That's the sweet sound of a failing alternator.
Bolton Breakdowns takes the green flag.
Oh, brilliant!
Only first-rate rescuers get to join our local breakdown network. Only the best get the green flag.
Money Super 7, pay attention. Britain is feeling the pinch now more than ever. So what are we doing to help?
I could save people up to £300 on their car insurance.
Impressive, you are paying attention. Now let's keep finding more ways to help people. And together we can save Britain some serious money.
Super Save with Money Supermarket today. 51% of consumers could save up to £319.82. Consumer Intelligence, May 2022, UK only.
When I pick up meat for a barbecue from Co-op, I'm not just buying 100% British flavoured pack kebabs and buffalo chicken wings, I'm also raising funds for
local projects like community fridges, a space where local people just like me can get together, share food and learn new skills.
Buying Co-op food raises funds that lift up your community. Co-op, it's what we do. Subject to availability. Participate in store. See in store for full barbecue range. 2p for every £1 spent by Co-op members on selected Co-op products goes to communities. T&Cs apply. Visit coop.co.uk/membership.
On DAB+, online, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker.
Big hitting live ball-by-ball commentary as Ireland take on New Zealand in the second T20 International.
It's smashed over towards cover.
On talkSPORT 2.
Again, short again. This time Finn Allen gets a lot more of it, and that's in the trees, and that is caught in the crowd.
That was a lovely shot. Really great shot. Almost a check drive.
New Zealand go for 39 after 3.5 overs. Panic stations.
Panic stations for Darren McCarthy for sure, but not for Finn Allen. He looks in really good touch.
And this is a flat bat shot back down the ground, and it is caught. He got absolutely nothing on that.
And a breakthrough that Ireland certainly needed at this stage.
Last ball of Young, second over bouncer. Guptill climbs into it, picks out the fielder.
McCarthy in again, reverse scoop from Cleaver.
That is absolutely outrageous, and it's gone all the way for 6.
He comes in again, gives himself some room, does Glenn Phillips. Craig Young's length ball, which takes middle stump out. He's castled him.
Is there a better sight for a fast bowler than a stump coming out of the ground?
Cleaver has picked this up and smashed it. A raise of the bat for Cleaver. He's gone past 50. You predicted that after his first 6 balls.
The 18th over that done for them the other day in the first T20. This is now the 19th, but this is turning messy.
Mitchell to the offside, top edge sails up into the sky and caught behind the stumps. Last ball full, dug out by Cleaver, and that brings the innings to a close. 179 for 4, with Cleaver top scoring with 78 in his second ever T20 for New Zealand. You're listening to live and exclusive coverage of the second T20 between Ireland and New Zealand. Following us this evening on talkSPORT 2, we bring you live commentary of the World Match Play Darts at the Winter Gardens in Blackpool. Joining us live now, one of our team this evening, Paul Nicholson, to look ahead to the action.
Thank you very much. Yes, the Winter Gardens is pretty empty at the moment, but in around an hour and 15 minutes, things will be rocking here, and we will get cracking tonight with some brilliant action. We will conclude round 2, and it will be Daryl Gurney up against Danny Noppert first. Daryl Gurney in his first round match on Sunday afternoon took care of former champion Gary Anderson by 10 legs to 7. Noppert was comfortable winning the last 6 legs against Brendan Dolan in round 1, so they will meet in match number 1. But I think everybody's looking forward to the last match tonight, which is Michael Smith against Dirk van Duijvenbode. They both had really good tests in their first round, and that could be a brilliant crescendo to an evening that sees José de Sousa of Portugal take on former world champion and former match play champion Rob Cross. Gerwyn Price and Dave Chisnell will also do battle tonight, which could be a brilliant game also. And the crowds this week have been incredibly respectful, and maybe tonight they'll be ready to just let the steam off a little bit of tension that we've seen in this tournament so far. Enjoy the cricket for the rest of the next hour and a half, and we will be joining you on talkSPORT 2 from just around 7:15ish. But enjoy the cricket, and we'll see you when you conclude there, John.
Thanks a lot, Paul. We're going to be bringing you We're going to be bringing you dots throughout the evening. Kath Dalton, you like the arrows,
John?
You like a bit of Christmas darts, so it's July. That siren's still going. So darts in July, not your thing. No. Darts in December,
absolutely.
Bring it on.
Yeah,
that doesn't make sense.
It's the only time I get to watch the TV is at Christmas.
Is it?
Yeah. Otherwise, I'm out coaching or busy
on the radio.
Yeah, you're making me busy now, John, as well.
Have you seen the Essex-Surrey score, by the way?
I have not. Do I want to know?
Well, Essex were 70 off a 7 yesterday, and then they recovered to 250 all out. And then you had Surrey 117 for 7, and we recovered to 290 for 9. Will Jacks just hit Harmer for 4-6-6-6 in an over.
That's hard to do.
Balls. And hit him for 2 sixes before that as well. He was 123. So there you go. There's a little bit of a county championship update from one match.
I wonder why that is.
Yeah, I wonder. Right, first ball of Ireland's innings. 180 the target. Mitchell Santner, slow left armour, to take the opening over. So we're going to see some spin, and Paul Stirling defends this first up. So this is an important match for Ireland. We have commentated, and I've loved doing so, on some real close matches. A little bit more air this time from Santner. Again, Stirling's happy to defend. We've seen them almost chase down 227, was it, against India in the second T20? Only to fall. 6 needed from the final ball, and they just fell short. Little shimmy to the leg side from Stirling. It was a double bluff. He has just deposited the ball over square leg for 6. And I suppose it's an obvious thing to say, but if Ireland are going to win today, they're going to be looking at the likes of Stirling and Balbirnie to get them off to a good start, Kath Dawson.
Yeah, and that was a great shot to begin with from Paul Stirling. Just used his wrists, just strayed a little bit, well, a long way actually, down leg side did Santner, and Stirling was on it, pounced on that one, great shot.
Yeah, he's shaped to go down the leg side. Santner kind of followed him, but Stirling was bluffing, and the ball has been lost, not for the first time today.
And I want to see Stirling be positive, because we've seen him play some in different sort of innings recently. Obviously he got 100 in the ODI, the last ODI against New Zealand, but he hasn't played to the best of his ability just yet.
Well, yeah, I was talking about those close run things, and there was the Ireland T20, Ireland-India T20, which was an incredible spectacle. I mean, Ireland came so close to chasing down 226, just failed really for the final delivery of the match. And then that 3-match series which we brought to you, the ODI series against New Zealand, they lost the first one by a wicket, second one by 3 wickets, and they lost by 1 run in the third ODI, as Stirling defends on the front foot. They've come close. They just need to get that win. Otherwise it will be a disappointing summer. And if they can get a result here today and take the series to the third one, Stirling down and slashes this past a diving mid-off fielder, Bracewell it is, who went two-handed as the ball whistled past him, but he couldn't get anything on it, and the ball has reached the boundary. 10 without loss, and this first over of exploratory spin is not working for New Zealand. Lost the ball, and Stirling is happy to tuck this off his pads and away for a single, so he'll take strike for the start of the second over. Santner has first over's gone for 11, and Ireland have got off to a decent start.
Yeah, from a New Zealand perspective, I'm surprised that they bowled Santner to Paul Stirling, who has struggled with the ball shaping back in to him against the seamers. I know Duffy's coming on in this over, but he has struggled with that. So to bowl Santner, that was almost a free hit for Stirling, but it's great to see him playing with a bit of aggression and playing with a lot of power in that over, and hopefully he can continue that from an Irish perspective.
We had 4 different bowlers for the first 4 overs when New Zealand were batting. I wonder if we're going to see something similar. Not sure we'll see Santner for a second over. We are going to see Duffy though. Again, not bags of experience playing international T20. This just his 6th match. He's taken 6 wickets and his first delivery is in. He's got a slip in place, and Stirling has broken his bat. Wasn't going for a big hit, just a clip really, and he's snapped his bat in half.
I did say he was hit with a lot of power today, but not necessarily on that shot. His bat is literally in half. He's holding his handle, but that's the only part of the bat that's left in his hand.
Well, the ball's hit the meat of the bat. It's essentially hit the sticker. And the bat's just split in half. Duffy must be bowling at 180 miles an hour. Just hasn't been picked up by the speed gun.
He's puffing his chest out now, going, I just broke his bat, isn't he?
Have you ever broken a bat, Kath?
No, I've broken a stump.
In the locker room?
I've broken a stump and a bail. A bail is probably a little bit more pathetic, to be honest with you. I have it at home, would you believe, John?
Well, I haven't known you for long, Kath, but no, that doesn't surprise me.
What are you trying to say?
Was it in this some kind of homage to the Ashes? Is that what it was? Did you take the bail back home and burn it? Clipped away by Balbirnie. He's faced his first delivery now. 13 without loss. Ireland chasing 180. So tell us what happened.
No, it was
you were in on your long run up.
I was, yeah. I bowled quick, but not necessarily consistently, as my coaches like to say. But this one managed to hit the top of off stump, and I did break a bail. I was very young, so I was quite excited about it.
Duffy's in, down the leg side, clipped away, beating the fielder inside the circle, and that'll be 4. 17 without loss. I tell you what, we missed on. I've missed on a point there. Now, Paul Sterling clipped that away, okay, to mid wicket. Fielder was there, comfortable run, but his bat split in two, shy at the stumps. Now, he's trying to run in, but of course he hasn't got a bat to run in with. He could have been run out because essentially he didn't have a bat that was long enough. Again to the leg side. This is played by Sterling. He moves to 17. 18 without loss. Had 10 deliveries so far.
He would have had to dive in, I reckon.
That would have been ridiculous, though. Yeah. And what a way to get out.
Full length dive.
Full length dive, but because your bat is a handle plus a couple of inches, you run out. How's your luck? I mean, it didn't happen, but it could have done.
It could have done.
This is on-off stump, and Balbirnie is forward at no run. Some busy fielders running around there. 18 without loss, 1 ball left of the second.
I'm still visualising that, to be honest with you, John.
Did you smash the bail on the same day that you sent the stump cartwheeling out and broke the stump? Did it happen in the same delivery?
Not that consistent, unfortunately.
Last ball of Duffy's first over, and again Balbirnie, full respect, full face of the bat, defended back to the bowler. So 7 runs coming from that first Jacob Duffy over, and a good one as well.
Yeah, that was well bowled by Duffy in the end. A couple of loose deliveries, but the power play is so important. I've said this before, how important a power play is, particularly in the side that's chasing. If you can get off to a good start, you can really take the pressure off. With Delaney coming in at 3, who can power hit and go for it as well. But this is a good start by Ireland. And New Zealand, after the power play, are now racing ahead with 51 for 1. So if Ireland can get anywhere close to that, they'll be on track for this game.
The camera's just picked up the dark black shoes of Lockie Ferguson, and just for a second, with his black trousers, I had Darth Vader, Star Wars music in the background. There was a sense of foreboding. It's like, okay, you've had a little bit of slow left arm and some Jacob Duffy, but it's Lockie Ferguson, 94 miles an hour. You've had your fun. Ferguson's in, full, driven. And it's Santner, I think, at extra cover, who fields on the bounce, 18 without loss.
And he bowled really well in the last T20, did Lockie Ferguson.
Oh, he bowled well in the ODIs as well, didn't he? Especially that first one.
Ireland really struggled with his change-ups. They didn't pick his slower balls particularly well in the last T20.
Well, here's Darth Vader. That doesn't actually make sense, but hey. Ferguson past the stumps and back of a length. Played to backward point by Sterling, no run.
Did you seriously just say, well, he is Darth Vader?
Yep. And
Can't argue with that, can you?
No. Partly because, as I say, didn't actually make sense. 180 is a target. We should have mentioned that with the dart, shouldn't we? Again, Sterling, back of a length. Good looking shot for none.
Yeah, he brings a lot of pace to the game. Does old Darth Vader here?
Does. He's out and out quality, isn't he? It's he's going to be a potent weapon when Australia, or when New Zealand get to Australia for the T20 World Cup. You've got Lockie Ferguson, Adam Milne, Tim Southern, Trent Boult. As he's this time Sterling down on one knee and flazes through extra cover for 4. Good looking shot. Just for a second it was in the air. The fielder stationed at cover was interested, but by the time he thought he could catch it, it was probably about 10 foot from the boundary. So Sterling might have closed his eyes when he hit that shot. Ireland moved to 22. 22 without loss. Midway point of the third.
And I haven't seen Paul Sterling hit that sort of power before today, so great shot.
Ferguson in again, slow delivery, full toss actually on off stump. Surprises Sterling. You can only pick out Bracewell at mid-on. Missed out slightly there, the batter.
Yeah, he did, but he does look like he's got a different mindset. The first T20 he was very defensive. He played a lot of defensive shots early on in his innings. This innings he looks like he's going for it a lot more.
Short ball by Ferguson down the leg side, and this will be called a wide. So maybe that shot has just got into Ferguson's head a little bit. It was a beautiful drive from Paul Sterling. 21 from 14. This is slightly similar to how New Zealand started. Finn Allen, scored the bulk of the runs. 44 for 1. He was out for 35, and Guptill had only scored 3. Taken most of the strike, and we're seeing a similar situation here as Sterling, one arm comes off the bat, and is it Santner running round from mid-off who takes the catch, and that brings to an end Sterling's 14 ball cameo. He goes to 21. Ferguson does take the wicket, and Ireland are 23 for 1.
Yeah, mistimed shot. Nice hold out to Santner there at mid-off in the ring. He'll be disappointed with that because he started to look good. Did Paul Sterling, hitting some great shots, particularly through the covers with a lot of power. But with him gone, that will be disappointing from an Ireland perspective. But great breakthrough for New Zealand.
When you look through the New Zealand scorecard, apart from Guptill's innings, each of the batters went at a pretty good strike rate. Allen 35 from 20, Phillips 23 from 16, Mitchell 14 from 9. Less so perhaps Mitchell, but essentially that's all well and good, but that was based around Cleaver's 78, so it's all well and good, it's fine. Sterling didn't waste a lot of time, 21 from 15, and it's okay to have 3 or 4 batters doing that. That's how T20 works. But Ireland, you feel, are going to need one person to get a decent score, 40 or 50, and the others can thrash around for shorter, more high tempo innings. Balbirnie, the players did cross, so Balbirnie again, no time. Oh no, they didn't cross. That was the last ball of the over. It was a mistimed drive back past the bowler for 1.
I suppose who is going to be that player for Ireland that's going to stand up and get over 50?
Well, I suppose recent form would suggest that
Tector
is the man, he's in next. Oh no, Delaney's in now. Yeah, so Tector is in next. I mean, what form he's been in against India and New Zealand. Missed out in the first T20, but that was his first failure, for want of a much better word, in the entire summer that we've been bringing you here on talkSPORT 2. Real talent. So maybe it is he. As Delaney about to face his first delivery, and he's knocked over first ball, and it's Duffy that's just had one that has just come in on the angle. Delaney has missed that, all ends up, and he's got to go for a first ball duck. 24 for 2 Ireland.
Yeah, that was really well bowled by Duffy. He kept his cool. He's hit a great area as well, just that top of off stump area, and that just nipped back a little bit on Delaney. He looked surprised. He was bowled actually in the last T20 in a similar way through the gate. Massively disappointed that Gareth Delaney goes off his first ball.
And that just shows that the problems, doesn't it? Because obviously once Sterling goes, and I know we've talked about Tector, and we've had lots of chat about Curtis Campher as well, who's the next person in. But there's so much importance on those first 2 wickets, which possibly as well by Bernie is, he's still there, but he's not going to be going at the bowlers in much the same way. Disappointment though from Delaney, but it does bring to the crease Ireland's golden boy really, Tector. 2 centuries against New Zealand in the ODI series, and scores against India as well. So he walks to the crease with the side in trouble, but he's in form.
He is in form, but at 22 years old, there's a lot of pressure on him to keep consistently performing. This is why it was so important for Paul Sterling really to get a big score today. He hasn't done so it does rely on Harry Tector again pulling Ireland out of a difficult situation and trying to get some runs on this board.
Has Duffy impressed you?
Yeah, I think he shaped the ball well. He's hit his areas pretty consistently.
Tector with an extravagant movement to the offside. There's a shot at the stumps at the striker's end. Balbirnie slow, possibly to be called through. And I wonder if the shot at the stumps from backward point had hit, then maybe Neesham would have run out the Ireland captain. And that would not have been the introduction to the game for Tector to run out the captain. I think he would have gone.
I think he was gone there. If that was a direct hit, I think he was gone. This is what pressure does to you. It does funny things to you.
25 for 2 Ireland, chasing 180 here on talkSPORT 2 as Duffy again, a length delivery outside off stump, cut on the up by Balbirnie, down to third for a single. He moves to 3, Tector 1 not out. Yeah, don't run out your captain.
Yeah, you don't want to be doing that. It's probably the worst person to run out is your captain. But he needs to stay in now and actually play a captain's knock here, Balbirnie as well.
Yeah, we're seeing a replay, and Balbirnie would have been dismissed by about half a foot. Tector readies himself down the track, already busy, plenty of movement, clipping the ball off his pads for another single, getting on with things. 27 for 2.
Yeah, that's something that Tector does so well, is when he's in form, as he has been this Irish summer so far, he uses his feet brilliantly and attacks that top of off stump length, and that just forces the bowler to change. Then they can't bowl that length again because he's scoring off it.
Just seeing a replay of the Delaney dismissal. On off stump again, Duffy probing away. This time, despite decent connection, there won't be a run. It would have been a suicide single to Guptill at short mid-wicket. So 4 overs gone. Ireland chasing 180, have lost 2 wickets. Sterling, after a rapid start, 15 ball 21, picking out Santner at mid-off, and Delaney being dismissed by Duffy. Clean bowl by a ball that went in with the angle. Means that Ireland's informed Tector is at the crease, 2 not out. The captain Balbirnie, with Campher and Dockrell to come, and Tucker as well actually. So there is still some batting. No need to panic, but important that they try and maximise these next 2 overs of the power play.
Absolutely, with two fielders out of the circle, you have to maximise the power play.
Ferguson in for his second, and again hits that heavy length though, shy at the stumps of the non-strikers, and I think that Glenn Phillips has run out Harry Tector. We're going to have a look.
TV umpire to director.
But certainly the reaction of the batter suggests, and that of the fielders,
side angle,
that Ireland have lost their 3rd wicket.
I think this is out, John. I really think this is out.
Well, the Tector's staying there. We're having a look.
Rolling, yeah.
And unfortunately,
well, and the bails are off. I've made my decision for the lights.
For Ireland, it's going to be a red light that flashes up. Red for danger, and that's certainly the case now. 27 for 3. Tector gone, and Ireland's hopes of winning this match and keeping the series alive, you've got to say, they're hanging by a thread.
They are certainly hanging by a thread, and that's just silly cricket by Ireland. You've got to make sure you don't run out your partner, especially when you're 2 wickets down. That's just huge frustration for Harry Tector walking off, and an informed batter being run out. It doesn't really get any worse than that.
Well, you know, he'd had a warning because he'd nearly run out Balbirnie 3 balls ago. So maybe there's a lot going on out there, and it did seem like he was quite keen to get on with things. You know, he took 2 quick singles, he's moving around the crease, he's obviously wanting to get on with, you know, getting his side into a position where they make use of the power play, but unfortunately it hasn't worked for Harry Tector today, and a good bit of fielding from Phillips as well. So Balbirnie to face as Ferguson is in, arrowing in on off stump again. This is played past Jimmy Neesham at point, and wow, it's just an outside edge really. Raced away. Mitchell actually fielded it inside the boundary, but you can see how fast the ball is going off the bat when Ferguson is bowling.
Yeah, he actually used that pace quite well.
No time, despite the quality of the opponent and the fact that they've lost 3 quick wickets, they've still got to try and rotate the strike, because this is well, we saw earlier when New Zealand were batting, it was a strange innings. At no point did batting ever appear to be particularly comfortable, did it? Camphor about to face his first delivery. This will be bowled again by Ferguson, fired down the leg side for a wide, 31 for 3.
Yeah, and they didn't find it easy, New Zealand, to bat on this surface. Nor did they in the first T20 either. So Ireland have put themselves in a tricky position here. I think Paul Stirling probably played 1 too many aggressive shots, even though I praised him for being positive. And then a silly run out.
Ferguson again possibly beating Camphor for pace there, slapping the batter high up on the thigh pad. No run.
I think if Ireland are going to win these games, they have to have their main players step up and perform. They don't have the depth that New Zealand have. So if you're going to win a game of cricket, someone like Paul Stirling or Harry Tector is going to be the one that has to get the runs.
Short again, and Camphor leans back. Was there to be hit, but the sheer pace and the bounce and the fact that Camphor's so new to the crease means that he'll probably feel like he's missed out there.
Yeah, a lot of bounce actually on that delivery from Ferguson. I just really enjoy watching him bowl.
Yeah, I know. I kind of forgot to commentate for that final, that last delivery. On the pads this time, Camphor's forward, and I think Ireland were probably quite relieved that over has come to an end. 5 overs in, Ferguson's bowled 2 of his allotted 4. He's gone for just 10 and picked up a wicket as well, and seen a run out. Halfway through that second over, might be about to get a little bit of leg spin from Ish Sodhi to find out. There'll be a change in personnel here. Former Black Cap Ian O'Brien, and also talkSPORT 2's very own Jarrod Kimber.
Yeah, interesting that they've gone with 2 overs from Lockie Ferguson. I think a lot of that might have been match-up as well, in that they had a couple of batters at the crease who don't particularly like the extra pace. Duffy comes in, and Camphor just helps this around the corner with a scoop. It was full and straight outside off stump. Camphor knew where it was going to be, and he gave it the little bit Doug Marillier scoop, and away it goes for 4.
Even Jarrod, I think the 2 overs from Ferguson, exactly that. The way that Ferguson bowls into that hip, and well, I think few of the Irish batters, certainly in those 2 overs, could have got inside it for leg side wides. They're staying that leg side of it, that's hitting them.
Duffy back for length, and he just turns it on the leg side, Curtis Camphor, and he'll take one. I think the run out is also from Lockie Ferguson in the way that basically he just pushed it on the offside and called yes. He hit it to the right-hand side of the fielder. I think
I understand that. It may have been Anderson. It might have been side bottom. Can't remember. It was a long time ago now.
When they were fast.
It was a long time ago now, and it was yuck, and I didn't want to face. But just, again, seeing the New Zealand bowlers angling into the Irish batsmen more so. We certainly saw the Irish batsmen, you brought it up, bowling wider and angling into the New Zealand top order. With the indifferent bounce, it was not indifferent bounce, but it's not an easy bounce.
Yeah, it's not always consistent.
Cutting is hard.
Comes in again, and Andy Balbirnie just, I don't know what this is. It's almost like someone was getting a sword out of their pocket. He just unsheaths a flick off his hip, and that goes out for 4. That was a beautiful looking shot, considering he was beating the ball before and one bounce for 4.
If you want to get inside of it, and this is what sort of the point that I'm making, if you get inside of it, I think there's plenty of runs. Yeah, it's like a shovel scoop. A get off me shovel scoop, I think is probably, I don't want to be here, but get away from me, and got a good timing.
And this is out. Caught behind. He tries to launch this over long off again, and this time he gets a little feather through to the keeper, and he is gone. And so another big wicket. Andy Balbirnie for 10, trying to launch over cover, maybe long off, and it gets caught behind. And Ireland are in all sorts of problems here on talkSPORT 2. 41 for 4.
Again, staying a long way leg side of it. The previous delivery, while he didn't necessarily get inside the line, he gave himself a chance to hit it to the leg side. Still, this one here, it's a foot outside of stump. He's certainly not gone back and across. He's sort of he's got 2 little movements. Back foot goes back and the front foot sort of presses, and does not want to get anywhere near in line of it. Duffy's not quick.
No.
He hasn't bowled particularly well in the ODI. Didn't bowl particularly well in the first T20. Here, he's in his 3rd over. He has 2 for 20, and looks like a fast bowler, and taking wickets like a fast bowler. But they're making him look a whole lot better than he's actually sort of bowled. It just feels that it's all or nothing today from Ireland, because everything else hasn't worked so far. This is their 5th game, and they've tried to sit in and play it long and see what they can do. And they've tried a couple of little fits and starts, sort of chasing run scores. But today just looks like it's all or nothing, and we're going to get it in 15 overs, or we're going to be out in 12.
Well, you and I have both been in change rooms. You obviously a lot more than me. There is that point sometimes when you lose a few games in a row that you kind of throw it all out there, and that's kind of how it feels. New Zealand have a slip in place, in fact, as Lorcan Tucken comes out, gets the ball on off stump, walks across his stumps, flicks it, but Ish Sodhi, he feels it so well at short fine leg that 5 people come over to tell him how great he is. 41 for 4 after 6 overs. Ish Sodhi, did you like the awkward high 10 he gave as well, as if to go, yeah, I am great.
Oh, he fields at short fine leg for the same reason I fielded at short fine leg. That is the hiding position in T20. I promise you. You go from short fine leg to short fine leg. It's not too far. You don't have to go from long off to long off, which is you don't have to run too far. But he's a fielder of my ilk. He's better than me. And that one there, he just had to get some meat on it and keep it in front of him, and he did so. And I think that was. Who was it that came across? It was Mark Chapman that came across with his big teethy smile. He's got a wonderful smile and gave him an awkward high 10. So Mark Chapman's on the park fielding for, I'm not sure who yet.
Yeah, I didn't see Chappie out there. So interesting that they've got him out. Mitchell Santner's coming back on now that the power play has finished. You'll see the former New Zealand fast bowler. Fast medium?
Fast medium.
You actually flinched when I said fast bowler there. It's hard to tell because you were into the wind so much, what your actual pace was.
I got to bowl with it a little bit.
Santner comes in. It's down the leg side. There might have been a little bit of bat there as Camphor comes to push on the leg side, pops up, and Cleaver comes around to mop it up from behind the stumps.
Tucker's the one for me, because keepers love getting in line and flicking it, and the other guys typically that don't mind getting hit.
Santner bowls full and straight, and Kampfer hits straight back to him, and there is no run there.
And it was the first ball that he faced. He got inside the line and flicked it down the short fine leg, and that was the one that we were just talking about with Sodhi doing a rather average piece of fielding, but celebrated because it was tough.
Oh, he gives himself some room to Santner. Kampfer, he loves to launch over the offside, but he gets an inside edge back onto his pad, almost drags it on. Remember, you can get in touch with us at cricket_TS on Twitter or at talkSPORT2.
When I say average piece of fielding, it was a good piece of fielding, but it was not the toughest piece of fielding. He did it well, but...
He's outside off stump, and he smashes this Kampfer, but straight to the sweeper is Daryl Mitchell, and they'll just take one. Kampfer moves to 7. Tucker hasn't scored off his one delivery so far.
So is Tucker a chance of getting up the order and facing the quicker bowlers? Because just from that one ball that I saw just there, he was happy getting back and across and getting inside the line to the quicks. Is that an option, possibility?
He faces this from Santner and pushes it back to the bowler for no run. I think long term they think he's a top order player. I just don't think they think he's ready at the moment.
35th T20 here. I mean, that's a bit.
Average isn't great.
Average isn't great though.
He reverse sweeps here, does Tucker, and Kampfer goes through, steals a run. It actually went straight to the fielder, so they had to hustle there, but they just get through for a single. Yeah, I think long term they certainly see him as an option up the order. He's not young. He's 25. They don't think he's quite developed, perhaps, the way that they were hoping he would have. I think he's got quite a low average right across the board at the moment in professional cricket. But there's still a lot of hopes for him. There's no doubt about that.
It's that. I mean, he's had a real good series with the gloves up until today, and there's a couple of mistakes today that sort of the only time we've had an opportunity to talk about him as a keeper, and you never want to talk about keepers because it's only mistakes that you ever get to talk about. So he's had a real good series up until today, and it's just that he looks good. He looks like he fits. He's got that keeper sort of attitude, mentality with the bat. Doesn't, sort of, again, I've seen very little of, but just that he's got that typical keeper thing. I reckon he'd be handy at the top, getting inside and making bowlers' lives tough.
He's facing Ish Sodhi here, and he's missed this by 4 inches as Ian O'Brien talks him up on talkSPORT 2. I'm Jared Kimber. It's a leg spinner from Ish Sodhi. Nice, slow, outside off stump, a bit of a tempter, and he's missed that by a considerable margin.
I reckon Ish, to a right-hander, starts with a googly 90% of the time, and that is a pretty big spinning leg spinner.
No slip in place. I think I'd be tempted if I was sat there at the moment just to see if I could bring someone over. 43 for 4, reverse sweep, and he smacks this, but straight to Jimmy Neesham. Again, they run on the shot, I'm going to say here, because he hit that straight to the fielder and they take it on. Curtis Kampfer just wants to get down there, and Tucker moves to 2. 44 for 4 after 7.2. Ireland well behind. Remember, the target's 180. New Zealand, a bit of a patchy score, but ended up getting to a decent enough total after a very good start from Finn Allen. He showed it coming in again. The man who can remember almost every Test cricketer based on how many wickets they've taken. This ball is outside off stump, and, I say outside off stump. Curtis Kampfer's outside leg stump. He's probably cut this from off stump in the air in the end, but out to the sweeper, Finn Allen, and he just gets a 1. He put some risk on that single.
It's almost that I still think that's the deliberate bad ball. Short, wide, can only really hit it to the sweeper out there. Gets them off strike, and it just keeps the over quiet because the batter doesn't feel pressure hit a boundary, so they're happy just hitting a single.
Tucker facing again. Will he reverse? He does reverse, and it's the wrong length to sweep and ends up hitting him on the gloves and going absolutely nowhere. I felt like he was going to reverse before that ball. I think Ishodi did as well and just pulled his length back.
Do Ireland play Pakistan anytime soon? Or have they just recently? Because
Pakistan are playing Netherlands, aren't they?
Just going with the Zaman and Tucker with the bowler, that would be quite a mouthful to get right. I think you're working out where I'm going with that one.
Ishodi comes in again, and he's out. He's out stumped. I think that has dribbled along off the inside edge or the bottom edge as he's tried to do the big slog sweep. It's dribbled back to the keeper, Cleaver, who has taken the bails off as Tucker has been confused. Is that what you saw?
It's gone back along his leg, and I think it's been given out stumped. Certainly the square leg umpire gave it out, but it's going to be given out caught. There'll be a change. The square leg umpire gave it out stumped, but it will be out caught as it's taken the edge, then hit the back pad on his right leg, popped up. Cleaver's taken the catch and then taken the bails off, so it will be changed.
He stumped Cleaver at the moment, but I think it will be caught Cleaver. I don't know if they're going to have another look at that, but I think you're right. If he did get bat on it, which I originally thought he did, it certainly kept low enough that it looked like he kept bat on it. 45 for 5.
There's a little bit there going back to what Tucker missed out. One of the things that we talked about, Tucker missed out. He sort of missed the stumping earlier, and that was it was Cleaver. He was 40 off 30 at the time, and missed the stumping, and then both the batter and the keeper were just standing there, not looking, just like, who's going to move? Batter thought he was going to be out stumped by some distance, and Tucker didn't scramble, didn't sort of go looking for it, and turned into just a dot ball. But there, then Cleaver sort of showing what happens when you stay in it.
He just stayed low, didn't he?
Stayed low, stayed there. Oh, you're talking about Tucker?
Yeah, well, Tucker didn't.
Tucker just didn't move.
And Cleaver stayed low, so he had the chance to get that ball. George Dockrell has come out, his 97th match. He hasn't scored 500 runs yet, but he's only been a batter for a little while. Now we get the slip in place. Soda comes in again, and it's out, straight to slip. Jimmy Neesham comes in, beautiful leg spinner. He just pushes at this Dockrell first ball. He's not at the line, he's not at the length, and his hands go through the shot, outside edge to slip. 45 for 6 here on talkSPORT 2 with Jared Kimber and Ian O'Brien. Ireland are in all sorts.
I think it's disarray. Is that the
disarray?
Is that the old school? I just noticed something with Ish's bowling just there. Just seen his follow through. Previously, it's just the first time I've noticed it in this series. That one there, he's almost kept jogging through in his follow through, and that's one of the things that for Ish is the backyard mentality. Play the game as if you're just having fun in the backyard, and the way he followed through there was just this freedom of movement. There was no. You bowl leg spin, and as soon as you get sticky, as soon as you get a little bit clampy and clamped up and a little bit twitchy, it doesn't work. It goes all over the place. There was just this ease, this joy. It was just, thank you. And it was exactly how Ish you should see him at all times when he's at his best. Just there, and there was this bounce in his follow through. And he almost just kept jogging through to Finn Allen. It was Finn who took the catch, if I'm not mistaken, at first.
It was Neesham.
Sorry, Neesham at first, apologies. And there was just this joy across his face. Yeah, helps when you're getting wickets, and it helps when your team's on top. But that's the Sodhi that he has to find more often. And sometimes showing it helps you feel it, but feeling it is obviously the best way to get there.
Santner bowling to Curtis Campher. It comes down the wicket, it gets it on the full. He almost scoops it over Santner's head, and it goes for 4. And you hear the almost ironic cheers from the Irish crowd there of, oh, great, we've hit a boundary. Campher brings up another one. Again, he's impressed without anyone else. I think with leg spinners, and this is a good one for coaches, there's kind of 2 things you're looking for. Do they have a strong front arm, and are they running through the crease? And if you can get those 2 things going, everything else feels a lot better. This is outside off stump and just pushed out to deep point, and they take 1, bring up their 50. Will there be any ironic cheers for that?
I think did the Irish invent irony? Given the inflatable dartboard and all those, ejector seat and a helicopter, all those Irish inventions, did they invent irony?
Can you invent irony? One to ponder for everyone listening at home. Ireland have brought up their 50. They're 50 for 6 here on talkSPORT 2. They need 180. It looks, I'm going to say, unlikely with Mark Adair walking out to have a bat. He's a good hitter, Mark Adair, but even so, he's facing Mitch Santner, who's somehow bowled a wide when realistically it should be the easiest ball to just land on off stump here and try and get an LBW or
Mark Adair made Santner look average the other night. I think he brought down Santner's game. Mark Adair had almost just sort of gone, doesn't matter, don't care.
Mark Adair is in Mitch Santner's head for 2 wides on the trot. Mitch Santner's actually laughing at this point that he's bowling to the number 8 and he's somehow managed to bowl 2 consecutive leg side wide.
I'm serious. The other day, it genuinely looked like Santner just got suckered into a no pressure situation.
Mind games as he comes in again, and this is outside off stump. He hits it quite well to cover point, and there is no run.
Santner quite the opposite of Sodhi. Santner, I think, needs to stay serious, and Sodhi needs to stay light. And as soon as Santner gets a little bit light, I don't think it's as good.
This is a better ball. Full outside off stump. Adair gives himself some room and hits it quite well, but again to cover point, which is Martin Guptill. There's no run.
That's a nice change of action. A real stiff front leg and coming over it with pace. That's just ones that slide on and the batsmen miss.
2 balls to go in this Santner over. He tosses this up. Lovely flight on this, and he punches it again to Guptill. And again, there is no run. I'd like to get a speed on that. That was almost a Craig Brathwaite moon ball. That was so slow. You don't see Santner bowl that slow very often. This is he's certainly having a bit of fun out there at the moment. It's short and quicker. Goes for the LBW with the bold then, and it's cut to backward point. There's no run. Santner's played a lot of shots in this over. He hasn't scored any. 52 for 6 at the end of the 9th.
That's the nose breaker at first slip, that one. That's the quicker one that's about knee roll. Batsman goes to cut it. They either hit it and it goes to point. They nick it and it hits first slip in the nose, or they miss it and you've got a LBW. Going back to the first T20, the first between these two on Monday. Yeah, Santner got sucked into a little bit of a mood that Mark Adair sort of brought, because it was beyond him at the time, the game, the situation, and there we saw him go there and then come back. I think well done.
Sodhi wraparound sunglasses, full toss and back to camphor. That was just knocked down to Martin Guptill. And there's no run. One run. Just having a look at the Intelligent Cricket win predictor. New Zealand up at 99% chance of winning. I'd love to see that other 1% from here, looking at Ireland's tail.
They just have to say 1%, don't they? Because
they just in case. Sodhi, 2 for 3 from 1.1. talkSPORT 2. Ian O'Brien, Jared Kimber here. Reminder, we'll bring you more of Ireland's home fixtures this summer with their upcoming white ball games against South Africa here live on talkSPORT 2. Short, wide, tries to cut this. He does actually play the cut shot just after Cleaver takes the ball in the gloves.
Again, just looking at, absolutely miles behind the pace of that, but look at just watching Sodhi's follow through again, still got that energy, that joy. There's just this bounce.
I like that. He's got...
The 2 steps before he takes off, there's also a real key for leggies as well. That one there, just
a little bit short. It does spin though, and he cuts this out to deep point, and they just take one.
The step, the leg spinners, I think, and having watched Peter Younghusband plays for Wellington, the Firebirds. Have to drop the Firebirds every time I say that, don't I? He's played a little bit New Zealand Day. Just as they lift up as they lift their body to go into the jump, I think that's the first tell from a leg spinner, how loose those shoulders and how the hands sort of come up into gathering.
So he comes in again. He gives himself a lot of room here, Camphor. He cuts this from, I think, leg stump in the end, and he's caught by Neesham again at backward point, who can't stop. He's laughing at the moment at something that's happened out there, but they are absolutely falling apart here. That's the last recognised batter. 54 for 7, chasing 180, and this game may not last too much longer.
Yeah, it's absolutely following Neesham around the park, and Santner with the energy. And when he's got the energy, he gets the bounce, and the bounce that's got him that wicket, certainly it was the bounce that got him the wicket previous when Neesham took it at slip. And happy, bouncy. But I think the first ball that he bowled that spun, the first ball he bowled in this game, off spinner, that had everybody giggling. It had me sort of giggling slightly off mic, and I apologise for that. But there was just this, you could see from there how it I don't want to say how it changed how he bowled, but there was just this real giggle, the joy, the happiness that you just want to see. You want to see happy players, because that's when they often play the best cricket.
Fair to say the New Zealand players are slightly happier than the Ireland players as it stands. 54 for 7, chasing 180. So that's gone. If you're listening online or on your smart speaker, but you need to be on the move, you can listen to us for free on the talkSPORT app, where you can swipe between both talkSPORT and talkSPORT 2. And also, the Cricket Collective. You can listen to it every Tuesday evening on talkSPORT 2, which is Neil Manthorpe and Steve Harmison reviewing the week's biggest stories in cricket. And you can also find that on the following on feed. Ish Sodhi just tossing the ball up. You've got a slip in place as he bowls to Barry McCarthy. And it's a wrong end. To be fair, Barry McCarthy plays it quite well. Flicks it out on the leg side. They'll take one. Barry McCarthy is in no way a batter. Probably batting a spot or two high in this order as well. But he's certainly not a number 11. So he can hold the bat and he'll be able to score a couple.
They have gone past their lowest total. The lowest total on the ground is 53 by Nepal. So they have gone past the lowest total on the ground, and I hate saying that, but it is it's kind of relevant.
It, so that's good. Ishodi, 3 for 5, and he flights this up outside of stump, but it's well hit by Adair out to long off. I think Adair has hit every ball to Martin Guptill since he's walked out to bat, but that's the end of that over. 56-4-7. Ireland at Stormont are absolutely miles behind the game, and here's Kath Dalton and Jonathan Norman to talk you through what might be the end of the game.
Yeah, I'm not sure we're going to be hearing from Jarrod Kimber again in this match. Wow. Well, Kath Dalton, where did it all go wrong?
Where is it? Yeah, it's all gone wrong for Ireland, hasn't it? I think it started with Sterling. As soon as Sterling got out, it just seems to have just completely collapsed for Ireland.
Yeah, 23 without loss, 57 for 7. Santner is in, down the track and flayed through the covers by Mark Adair. So where there's hope and all that.
That was a lovely shot by Mark Adair. Great shot through the covers, but it just feels like it's a little bit game gone in a way.
I noticed while I was doing my research that Barry McCarthy, and I think Little as well, put on 44 for the 10th wicket, which back in his crease and nearly beaten by Santner. Inside edge down onto the turf and away, no run. Put on 44 for the 10th wicket against South Africa last year, so add that to the score, they're still looking pretty done.
There was, I think you were positive.
Adair has just attempted the Dale Cleaver. Essentially, he's danced to the offside and then shaped to kind of play the ball down fine down the leg side, then decided it's too wide, and then almost bent his knee to the ball. It's like bowing. No run either way. Much better looking shot, and a misfield by Jimmy Neesham, I think, at backward point. He took it one-handed, or attempted to. The ball squirting away, so another run to the score. 61 for 7, Ireland.
The challenge is for these two batting is how do you play this now? Because the game is gone. It's going to be very, very difficult from here. Almost impossible from here for Ireland. It's just how do you bat in this situation?
Well, it's pressure off a little bit, I suppose. Santner fields from his own bowling. And that was something that Ian O'Brien made mention of in the last match, that maybe Santner needs to be in the battle, as it were, and as soon as the pressure came off, he started to take some taps, so possibly that's going to happen again. Bit more loop there, picks out Martin Guptill, does Barry McCarthy at short extra, no run, 61 for 7, 1 ball left of the 11th.
I suppose you play for pride as well. You don't want to be completely demoralised, although that is happening at the moment. You try to get some runs on the board and put a little bit of entertainment on for the crowd that are in today. Apparently a full house, but I'm not so sure if it is now.
I suppose you want to stay out in the middle as long as possible, because I doubt Andy Balboni is going to be particularly happy to be around following this match. So just stay where it's safe.
And it's safe in the middle.
Exactly. Sodhi's bowled marvellously well. 3 for 6 from his 2. He's still got 2 overs to go as well. Slip in place, tossed up, leg break, but didn't move as much as some of the ones we've seen today.
Yeah, he varies his pace very well, doesn't he? He's got a good googly as well.
Yeah, we're talking about likeable cricketers earlier on. There's a lot of likeable cricketers within both of these sides Ish Sodhi, certainly one of them. This one is on off stump, and a reverse paddle from Adair. Fielder up inside the circle at third, beats the fielder, and away for 4. Adair moves to 11, which is the third highest score in the innings, I think.
That was a great shot. Leg spinner by Ish Sodhi. Reversed his hands round, hit it through third, really successfully. Great shot.
Yeah, nicely done from Adair.
He can bat, can't he, Mark Adair? Just making the right decisions.
We'll pause as Sodhi gets his field right. And on off stump again. This is a genuine outside edge. And it's Ferguson who makes a little bit of a hash of things, diving over the ball and lets the ball go to the boundary. So back-to-back 4s. Adair moves to 15, 69 for 7.
Yeah, it wasn't a controlled shot at all by Mark Adair, but at least he's going hard and he's going for it.
Yeah, and I don't think he plays that shot if the slip was still there. So
catching practice.
It was an outside edge, but it was a safe outside edge because he cut at the ball very hard.
Would have been catching practice, that's for sure.
Only if you were at first slip. This is Adair going for the big shot. He's going aerial over mid-wicket and nails it. The crowd, who have stuck around, have something to cheer. 14 runs from 3 balls.
Yeah, this is a really good shot by Mark Adair. Timed it effortlessly over the boundary rope. He's actually playing really well here, 15 or 14 deliveries. And they're just checking this one, John.
What do you reckon? As the ball heads towards
6.
I think it is 6, yeah. 6 from the bat of Mark Adair, who now has the second highest score in the innings. He's 15 from 14.
I'm surprised they checked that. That went a long way over the boundary rope.
Yeah, there's a fielder nearby as well. Okay, what's Sodhi got as Adair readies himself? This is pitching on middle and off, and defended by Mark Adair. He's got quite an open batting stance. Bowled well, actually, didn't he? Bowled that final over.
Yeah,
and didn't go for many throughout the innings.
He learnt from the last game, didn't he?
Well, that's what you want to see. Down the track, and for just a minute he would have been eyeing up a second successive 6, but Sodhi saw him coming, dragged his length back a little bit, and the ball goes straight, but via thick inside edge and away for another run. So Adair is at 22. He does have the highest score in the innings, and Ireland moved to 76 for 7, 12 overs in.
This just feels like a little bit like the old Ireland for me. When they were an associate country and they did have teams who took them apart, really. And this is not what they want. They want to show, which they have shown to be fair over this series and the India series, that they can compete at this level. But it is just consistency and learning to play with a game plan and play a situation. Sometimes batters, particularly in T20 cricket, I don't know about you, John, but sometimes they come off and say, well, that's just the way I play. And I don't buy that. I think you need to play the situation, play the pitch, and that makes you a good player rather than just saying, oh, that's just my strength.
Jimmy Neesham is in. He's going to have a bowl. He only batted out the last over of New Zealand's innings. And what a time to come on to bowl, I suppose. Pressure off cricket if you're New Zealand as things stand. The game can change so quickly, of course, but we're seeing some of the replays of some of the wickets, and certainly the run out and the run in between the wickets at times between Ireland belied a little bit of panic. Unfortunately, 103 needed from 47 deliveries. Second ball of Neesham's over. McCarthy facing down the track. It's short wide and crashed over the fielder. There's 2 of them stationed in and around mid-off, extra cover region. Gets it over both of their heads and away to the boundary for 4.
He almost swatted that. used his feet, got enough of it as well just to get over mid-off's head, raced away for 4. I like the fact they're accelerating Ireland. They're trying to go for something here, even though it's very, very challenging for them.
Neesham, I won't say trundling in, but he's not breaking the sound barrier. Full and played comfortably enough by McCarthy, who moves to 6. The score 82 for 7.
His run-up does look like it's got slower over the years, actually, Jimmy Neesham.
Yeah, just easing his way into the action, I suppose. Bowling his first over. He hasn't had a lot of cricket, has he, Neesham? I mean, he's been playing in the Blast, but didn't play or feature in the squad for the ODIs. Shorter delivery and a nice little dab cut straight to the fielder. I didn't quite pick up who that was at third inside the circle. McCarthy sent back. I think there possibly was a run there because of the misfield, but it's Duffy fielding.
The last thing they want is another run out there, Ireland.
Well, yeah, they have. They've already had one, haven't they? That Lorcan Tucker wicket still appears to be a stumping to Cleaver rather than a caught behind, as Adair just makes a little bit of room to again try and target extra cover. The fielder's still inside the circle, but on this occasion just misses out.
Yeah, and Ireland want to keep New Zealand in the field for as long as possible here.
Do you expect, I mean, let's say Ireland do win this match, is what looks likely, 87 for 2, chasing 180, but do you think at that point they're going to bring in some new players for that third T20? Because they've kept to the same side for this one, as has New Zealand, both sides unchanged. Last ball of Jimmy Neesham's over, and this is pulled nicely by Adair, and a misfield as well by Glenn Phillips. Neesham doesn't look particularly happy. You can understand why. Adair trying to bisect the field at deep square leg and mid-wicket. It was a mid-wicket fielder, Phillips, who really should have caught, or rather stopped this ball. But on this occasion, despite a despairing dive from Finn Allen, after the ball had rebounded off Phillips' knee, it hits the boundary. Adair moves to 27. And the score for Ireland after 13 overs, 86 for 7.
I think it would be, coming back to your point, John, an opportunity for Ireland to mix up their squad, to play maybe a slightly different team. But they don't have the depth that, we did speak about it in the India series that countries like India have. So it is a challenge for them. And who do you bring in that's going to make this team stronger? Or is it just an opportunity for them to have exposure against New Zealand?
It is such a valid point, isn't it? Because if you look at the fringe players, Bracewell's in, and he's one of them, the off spinner, and first ball, he's just been smashed to the mid-wicket boundary. Down on one knee, McCarthy, who moves to 10, and well, technically, Ireland are halfway to their target, 90 for 7. And they need another 90. But essentially, New Zealand have brought in Finn Allen, who played nicely today, 35 from 20 balls. Glenn Phillips, who pretty much won the game for New Zealand in that first T20. Dane Cleaver today, who top scored with 78. Dale Cleaver, top scored with 78. So that's 3 players. Michael Bracewell, who suddenly, I think he's got an average of near on 100 in ODIs now, and won that incredible game for New Zealand, fired in by Bracewell. And again, mid-wicket boundary is targeted, but along the grounds to Guptill from the bat of McCarthy, who moves to 11. I wonder if we're going to see the wrist spinner, left-arm wrist spinner Michael Rippon in the third T20. He was playing for Netherlands earlier this year against New Zealand. But he's been called up. Down the track, beautiful by Adair. Great foot movement, but not enough distance on the shot. Went through with it. Good timing, but that's the biggest boundary. And it's Glenn Phillips inside the rope who takes a comfortable catch. So Adair's sprightly innings that comes to a close. He's been caught in the deep for 27, and Ireland lose their 8th wicket now inside the 14th over, 91 for 8.
Yeah, looking to be aggressive again was Mark Adair and just hold out to the man in the deep. But a promising innings from Mark Adair, probably the best innings of any Ireland batter so far today. It's been tricky, it's been tough going for these Ireland players.
Yeah, he walks off with 27 from 22 to his name. Highest score in the innings so far. Barry McCarthy's still there, 11 not out. But, another blow, really. So, yeah, I mean, from an Irish perspective, the form of Harry Tector, even Curtis Campher. I mean, Campher's been playing for a couple of years. Tector's played, a decent amount of cricket as well, but they'll take heart from that. Lorcan Tucker is a strange one. He got starts in all the ODIs and never really went on. Bracewell's down, and McCarthy this time, well, he's gone for a carbon copy, and it's the exact same end result. Same part of the field, same fielder, same bowler, and Bracewell's picked up 2 wickets in 2 balls. McCarthy caught in the deep for 11. Ireland 91 for 9.
That was almost like watching a replay of the last dismissal. Exactly the same. Hold out in the deep. Did Barry McCarthy. This is a frustrating end for any Irish fans out there as well who are listening. This isn't something we haven't seen. Normally Ireland have a little bit of a fight back, as we have seen in the whole series. They seem to have given up here a little bit.
When you play, you're constantly playing, these kind of matches, you're always going to have one or two where essentially the wheels come off. Look, when you watch Cup, so let's take football, let's take the FA Cup. And one of the differences I find between players who play, say, in the Championship or League One and players who play in the Premier League is that the players who play in the Championship and League One, actually it's a hat-trick ball here from Bracewell, tossed up, and he's going to be caught! He's showed a backward point! Michael Bracewell finishes things off with a hat-trick. His golden tour of New Zealand continues. He did it throughout the ODIs with the bat, and now he finishes it off with the ball. A hat-trick for Bracewell, and New Zealand win this second T20 over Ireland by 88 runs.
That's fantastic for Bracewell, isn't it? To get a hat-trick in a T20 international is very, very difficult to do. Although it's against the lower order, it won't matter to him. It's a hat-trick. Ish Sodhi is delighted.
Ish Sodhi is celebrating more than Bracewell. I mean, in fairness, Bracewell doesn't ever celebrate anything. I mean, that winning 6 he hit in the first ODI, he just kind of stood there and looked a little bit bashful. But look, that's a handsome victory. Ian O'Brien is back with us. Unfortunately, talkSPORT 2 listeners won't be hearing any more of Jarrod Kimber. We'll keep you entertained for the next 10 minutes or so until we throw to the darts. But Ian O'Brien, that's a comprehensive victory for New Zealand.
Did you say throw to the darts on purpose?
Oh, I didn't.
Okay, in the mind, it's good though.
It was good. Yeah, thanks for picking up on that.
A blowout here, and sadly for Ireland, in terms of the 3 super tight ODIs. First T20 was a margin of 31, and this one an 88. This is the blowout. In fairness to Ireland, and I think they've been brilliant. I thought this would have come earlier. I thought a blowout loss would have come earlier in this tour after the first game, the first ODI which they should have won, and I still can't work out how they didn't win in terms of Michael Bracewell's bonkers. And I think that's the bit for me I think Ireland have to get a lot better at, is dealing with the quicks at the top of the innings, finding a way. Kath Dolan, look, I know we're both batters and we're both bowlers, and it's easy to sort of talk about trying to get in line, but finding a way for their top order to stay in line, get in line, work it to the onside, use those runs to mid wicket. I think that's been a big area, Kath.
Yeah, absolutely, and Paul Stirling will be massively disappointed with his innings today in particular, because he got a start, and it's the best I've seen him time the ball. Obviously, he got 100 in the ODIs as well, but that was clean hitting. It looked like the Paul Stirling we know and love, and he couldn't carry it on. And from that moment that he got out and then the run out, it just felt like it just slipped away from Ireland, and the wheels have started to come off, really.
Yeah, I mean, it was always going to be tough. 180 as a target on that pitch, considering they just played on the same pitch 2 days ago, and again Ireland didn't come close. Do we give credit to Cleaver? Because when we were on at the start of his innings together, IOB, I don't think either of us thought that at the end of the match he was going to provide the defining innings, and he'll probably take the player of the match very, very shortly.
This is going to be terrible, but it was like there was two blades on the Cleaver. It's not going to work, that one. The two blades on the Cleaver, is it? There was one was horrifically blunt, and the other one was dazzlingly sharp. And it was. And I said it earlier. There was two batters out there. One that didn't have a clue at getting it off the square, and then the other guy who was clipping it and flicking it and doing all sorts of power and finesse that kept New Zealand in it. And again, I go back to the word I used to describe the first T20 was ugly. There's so many ugly runs through that first T20, and New Zealand scored more ugly runs than Ireland. And today there was some real ugly from Cleaver, and there was some real pretty stuff as well. But it was a lot of ugly, and I don't think the pitch is particularly great for T20, but those ugly runs are worth so many. Take them. Take the ugly runs, Kev.
I would anyway, if it was me. Take ugly runs. Sometimes look, in T20 cricket, you're not always going to score amazing runs and be faultless and chanceless. You're sometimes going to mistime it. You're going to nick a couple through slip. But you know what? His innings was the difference, and nobody else batted like that on that pitch.
It's his 78. Sorry, Joe. His 78 off 55, and then in the first one it was Phillips' 69 off 52. Now, not a lot of difference in terms of overall strike rate, not a lot of difference in terms of overall runs off balls. Both innings were the big differences between the two games. And where does Ireland find that? How does Paul Stirling do that more often? How does Burnt do that? Being bowled first up, having your top order being hit on the pads LBW and being bowled as they have been through this tour, first 3-4 batsmen, that's something Ireland have to address.
Yep, it's been tough for Ireland today. They competed really well in the first and third ODIs. They were always behind the game with the second one, but there was belief there that they could spring a surprise. They were always due a bad performance, but in terms of positives, Kath, are there any to be taken out of this match today?
There's always positives, but they're hard to come by in a game like that. But Mark Adair, I would say, is probably the biggest positive at the end of the innings. Had learnt a lot from that first game on how to bowl. Bowled his Yorkers a lot better actually towards the back end of the innings as well, and his slower balls. So that could be a learning curve. I mean, I'm clutching at straws a little bit. I'm trying to find something that's massively positive from an Irish perspective.
Well, look, if apart from winning a game of cricket, if part of what this is about is learning, then Mark Adair improved from what we saw 2 days ago. What depresses me slightly is that whilst Ireland's fixtures for next year look strong, I think Sri Lanka are due to be in Ireland, possibly for a test match. Australia are going to be in Ireland.
They've got Afghanistan real soon.
They've got Afghanistan in August, and they've got 2 T20s against South Africa, which we'll be bringing you on talkSPORT too. But they just need to play games, don't they? That's how you learn. That's how you get better.
Play games and face fast bowling. They have to face. Where do they face fast bowling? How are they going to? There has been Irish players playing in county cricket. There's a lot fewer of them now. How do they face quicker bowling more often? And it's so different to facing a bowling machine or facing a sidearm. The dog stick sort of stuff. How do they face quicker bowlers more often? How do they get net bowlers that can bowl some gas so they can get the feel of it? Because international cricket is just that. It's not a little notch. It's quite a big notch up from domestic cricket.
Well, we saw a similar situation when England faced the Netherlands in Amsterdam. And Netherlands were 3 wickets down for not very many, and they were having to face Bryden Carse, who was bowling around 90 miles an hour at one end, and Adil Rashid was bowling leg spin at the other. There's in terms of the step up, it doesn't get more difficult than that. But they actually got through it, which was the most impressive thing of it all. But anyway, look, Kath Dalton and Ian O'Brien, thank you so much for your time today. You will both be back on Friday for the third T20 of the series. Sadly, it won't be a winner-takes-all clash, but I'm sure there'll still be plenty of intrigue. We've seen a big win for New Zealand today. Michael Bracewell with a hat-trick to wrap things up in quick time. New Zealand setting 180, and unfortunately for Ireland, well, they never came close. They've lost the game by 88 runs, so New Zealand have taken the series 2-0 with 1 to play. But as I say, I hope you will join us from 3:30 in the afternoon on Friday for that third T20 between Ireland and New Zealand, after New Zealand today beat Ireland by 88 runs.
In again, short again. This time Finn Allen gets a lot more of it, and that's in the trees.
That is absolutely outrageous.
A raise of the bat for Cleaver. He's gone past 50. Few predicted that after his first 6 balls, and that brings the innings to a close. 179 for 4, with Cleaver top scoring with 78 in the second ever T20 for New Zealand. Little shimmy to the leg side from Sterling. It was a double bluff. He has just deposited the ball over square leg for 6. As Sterling, one arm comes off the bat. Santner running round, takes the catch, and that brings to an end Sterling's 14-ball cameo.
With him gone, that would be disappointing from an Ireland perspective, but great breakthrough for New Zealand.
As Delaney about to face his first delivery, and he's knocked over. First ball. The heavy length shy at the stumps of the non-strikers, and I think that Glenn Phillips has run out Harry Tector.
It doesn't really get any worse than that.
Another big wicket. Andy Balbirnie for 10, trying to launch over cover, maybe long off, and it gets caught behind, and Ireland are in all sorts of problems. Sodhi comes in again, and he's out stumped. Sodhi comes in again, and it's out, straight to slip.
I think it's disarray. Is that the...
Disarray. And it goes for 4, and you hear the almost ironic cheers from the Irish crowd. He cuts this from, I think, leg stump in the end, and he's caught by Neesham again at backward point. They are absolutely falling apart here. That's the last recognised batter.
This is Adair going for the big shot. He's going aerial over mid-wicket and nails it. The crowd, who have stuck around, have something to cheer.
Really good shot by Mark Adair. Timed it effortlessly.
Down the track, beautiful by Adair. Great foot movement, but not enough distance.
It's been tricky. It's been tough going for these Ireland players.
Bracewell's down, and McCarthy this time, well, he's gone for a carbon copy, and it's the exact same end result. Bracewell's picked up 2 wickets.